This is Playhouse 90. From the stages and studios, producers and playwrights of the world bring you the week's finest radio entertainment, Playhouse 90. Tonight, Playhouse 90 presents The Ghost Train, a drama by Arnold Ridley. Three travelers find themselves stranded on a stormy night at a small wayside station in Cornwall. Against the advice of the queer, psychotic station master, who tells them weird stories about a ghost train, they decide to stay the night in the waiting room with the intention of catching the first train in the morning, a decision which they all too soon regret. Listen in a few moments to The Ghost Train, produced for Playhouse 90 by Yolande Ottman and directed by Henry Diffenthal.
I suppose this is the waiting room.
Yes, it looks like it.
This is just the kind of place you would bring me to.
Bring you? I like that.
Cold and wet and disagreeable. And the storm's getting worse.
Well, it's not my fault. I'm not the managing director of the infernal railway company, am I? That young man's to blame, losing his hat and then pulling the communication cord. But for him, we'd have caught the connection on time.
And you would have missed a fine opportunity of losing your temper.
Oh, this wretched place called. Can't see a name at all. Oh, here's a porter. I say, porter.
Excuse me, sir. Station master.
Station master, then. When's the next train?
There ain't no next train.
The devil do you mean? I must get through to Truro tonight.
There ain't no more trains till 7 tomorrow morning.
Surely to heaven there's a special.
There ain't no specials on this line. Not for years there hasn't been.
Well, then, where can we hire a car?
There ain't no cars round here.
Well, what do you suggest?
If you wants to get anywhere tonight, you'll have to walk.
And how far is the nearest hotel?
There'll be a farm 5 miles along the road.
But surely you live somewhere.
I bicycles to Truro.
Ah, well, it looks as if we shall have to stay here until morning. Oh, that confounded fool. By the way, where is he?
There'll be another gentleman outside.
Well, let's hope he stops there. I shall kick him if he comes in.
Oh, Richard, stop it.
Oh, I say. How did you get in?
Oh, the door, old chap. You know, perfectly simple. I sort of opened the door. I'll shut it now to keep the rain out. Sopping little crib we've got here. Oh, and we're here till morning, eh?
Yes, we are.
I think it's all rather priceless. After all, it's a little adventure and something to relieve the ennui of life.
That's all very well for you, sir. It puts us in the devil of a hole.
Oh, don't haggle, Richard. Surely the situation is uncomfortable enough without a quarrel. Whatever you say now can do no good. Here we are, and here we'll have to stay.
Well, seeing as how you're all settled to stay here, I'll be off home.
You're going?
You can stay here since you've made up your minds about it. But not me.
Look here, I'd like you to stay. We might want something.
What? Me? Stay here? All night?
Why not?
Me stay at Foul Vale Station all night?
Well, that was the idea.
See here. Haven't you never heard tell about this station?
No, of course not. I never even knew it was here.
Well, what about it?
It's haunted, miss.
Haunted?
Aye, that's right.
Well, if this isn't absolutely too priceless, the station is haunted. Really?
You may laugh, sir.
Oh, may I? Oh, thank you very much.
Maybe you laugh the other side of your face before morning.
Do you mean to say that you believe in ghosts?
Aye, I do. There ain't many in these parts as don't. Not for £5 note would I stay in this station. Tonight of all nights.
But you're not afraid to stay with us, are you?
I don't know. You've never heard tell of it?
What is this story? Look here, before you go, you might as well tell us what to expect.
No, I'll be getting home now.
Oh, now, look here. You needn't go yet. Look, tell us all about this ghost. We want something to entertain us.
Entertain ye? Powers above.
Come along. Here, have this for your trouble.
Very well. I'll do it. Although I warned you, it ain't no pretty story, and I'd rather be going home. Well, it be like this. 20 years ago, this very night, a man by the name of Ted Holmes used to be in charge of this here station. Did you notice a bridge just down below?
Yes, I did.
That be a bridge over the River Ross. It be a swing bridge, and used to be worked by a lever out here on this very platform. In them days, quite big boats did come up the river after China clay. Them don't come now.
Well?
20 years ago, this very night, there were a party of people went to a bean feast up to Truro, and they chartered a special train to take 'em back to St. Blan down the line. That were the only night train that ever ran on these lines. Ted Holmes was kept on duty that night to close the bridge, which was always left open night time for the clay boats to go out on the tide. It must have been 11 o'clock when they phoned from Truro to shut the bridge, as the special would be a starting off. Ted answers as how he'd go and shut the bridge that moment. And them were the last words he were ever heard to speak.
What happened?
All in good time, miss. As I was saying, Ted answers as how he'd go out and shut the bridge that moment, just at 11 o'clock. He goes to the door, and there it was that illness comes to him, and he falls down there on the platform, just outside that very door. Dead.
Oh, no.
And that bain't the worst of it. Not near the worst, it bain't. As I was saying, just at 11 o'clock, Ted Holmes falls down dead, and after we're all over, outside that very door, they finds him. The lamp still burning in his hand. It must have been 11:30 when the train starts off from Truro, and here be the bridge wide open, and Ted Holmes a-lying dead on the platform. On comes the train down the valley at a fair lick, everyone being anxious to get home. On she comes at 40 miles an hour, I reckon. Poor Ben Isaacs were a-driving, and it did seem as though he were just above the station here. Something did warn him. What 'twere, the powers above alone knows. But he claps on his brakes, and the train goes a-tearing through the station here. All the brakes on, the whistles screaming, and then... crash!
Good heavens. Were there many killed?
6 killed outright, and 2 die after. By some miracle, poor Ben Isaacs was thrown clear. He climbs out of the water and comes back here to the station, his mind clean gone. And they say he walked the platform here for hours, waving a red lamp and singing Rock of Ages. Next morning, he died, and 'twere a merciful release. 6 bodies they brought up from the mud and laid out in this very room.
What a horrible story.
I warned you, 'tweren't no pretty tale you was making me tell.
Yes, but where did the haunting come in?
Maybe I've said enough. The lady be getting scared.
Not a bit. It was a horrible thing, but I don't see how it can frighten us. Please go on.
Well, ever since that night, this station has been haunted.
Who by? Ted Holmes?
More than that. Some nights the signal bell rings and a train comes a-tearing and a-screaming through the station with all the brakes on and whistles a-blowing.
Oh, nonsense.
'Tis the truth I'm telling you, sir. One night, a while back, I was kept late by a thunderstorm, and just as I gets down the road, the signal bell rings. And then I saw her go through. I saw the flare from her furnace. Saw it with me own eyes, sir.
Oh, I expected some freight train that started this yarn.
I tell ye, there bain't no trains run on these metals from 10 at night till 7 in the morning. Besides which, it never starts from Truro and never runs into St. Bland. If it be a natural thing, where do it come from? Where do it go?
Yes.
You don't believe me.
You Cornish people are superstitious, you know.
Folks in these parts run like mad if they hear a train at night. They do say that to look upon the ghost train do mean death.
Now, that's absolute rubbish.
Bide a bit, sir. Bide a bit. 2 months ago, a tramp breaks into this waiting room one night. And next morning, they finds him here, dead. The doctors say as how he died of fear.
Pure coincidence.
But that don't explain the train, sir. Dozens have heard her tearing down the line. And early one morning, a man from the farm was walking to Truro to catch the London train when he sees someone walking this platform, waving a red lamp, and heard him singing Rock of Ages. You can stop here if you like, but not me. They do say as how the dead walk the platform, and poor Ben Isaac's a leading of 'em.
I've never heard anything so delightfully funny in all my life.
Funny? You call that funny?
You don't expect us to believe that yarn, do you?
I do, sir.
Well, you're a bigger liar than I am, old thing, and I thought I could spin a pretty good one.
Well, I'm going.
Yeah, hold on, will you?
It's no good, sir. Not a bit of good. I won't stay here no longer. Not for £100, I won't. I knows too much about this station.
Look, can't you see you're alarming the lady?
Very well, ma'am. I've done me best. But I ain't going to risk no more. I've got a wife and children looking to me.
Very well, go if you're afraid.
Afraid? I am afraid, sir. I ain't ashamed to own it.
Where's your bicycle?
Outside under the awning. Have you got a match, sir?
Yes, here you are.
Thank you, sir. I like me bicycle lamp. That's it. I'll be back here at 7 to see you on the train. And you take my advice. Keep in here, and if you do hear a train, for pity's sake, don't go running out to look at her.
Look here, stop talking like an old fool. If you believe in your ghost train, well and good. But we don't. Do you understand?
Very well, sir.
Cheerios, old lad, hadn't he?
Now we must make arrangements for the night. Help me move this table, will you? Here, you.
Me? Oh, yes, certainly. There we are.
Somebody may well be able to rest on this.
Now, look here, what fools we are.
Why, what's up?
We never told that chap to bring us any food when he comes back.
He may think of it.
I doubt it.
And so do I. What's that? Something at the door. It's the station master.
Deuce is going on.
Dragon.
Is he ill?
He's dead.
Look! The lamp! Don't you remember? Outside the door they found him. The lamp still burning in his hand.
Great heavens! It's 11 o'clock.
Darn. These matches are wet.
Oh, your hand's shaking. Look, can I light that cigarette for you?
Thank you, but my hand is perfectly steady. These matches are beastly.
Now, let's get a grip on ourselves. This is a nasty business, I know. It's given us a bit of a jar, but we must try hard not to take things too seriously.
Can't we go away somewhere?
Well, it's a good idea, but it's raining harder than ever. Simply coming down in sheets. Besides which, there's nothing to be afraid of now. We put that poor fellow in the other room and locked the door. Let's try and forget all about it.
Forget? I never will.
Look, we must be sensible. There's hardly a house in England where someone hasn't died. Hardly a station where someone hasn't met with an accidental death. And as for that poor fellow in there, well, people do die suddenly sometimes. We have the consolation of knowing that he was spared any pain or other suffering.
Then you don't think his death had anything to do with the story he told us?
Dismiss it from your mind, Elsie. Life is full of coincidences.
It was a jolly strange one there, wasn't it? And it's just what he said happened, every detail.
Shut up, you idiot.
That's all very well, old bean, but I suppose I am entitled to my opinion, the same as anyone else.
You're not entitled to frighten people.
Suppose that train should come. What should we do?
What train?
Why, the ghost train he spoke of.
Oh, that's just a story.
But you never know.
Oh, I say, if the ghost train comes, I begs we stop it and try and get a lift. How's that, eh?
Who the deuce? Someone at the door.
Oh, wait. Don't answer it. You don't know who it may be.
Well, then I must find out.
But,
I'm opening it. I say it's a lady. Come in.
Tell me, has it come?
I beg your pardon?
Has it come?
I'm afraid I don't quite follow you.
Well, you know. You must know.
I'm afraid I don't.
Listen to me. I want you to help me.
Of course, but what exactly is the matter?
Hide me from them. Hide me, please.
Yes, but hide you from whom?
From them.
So, who are they?
Oh, you must help me. Don't let them take me back. I can't go back. I can't.
Julia! Julia!
There they are. What shall I do? They'll find me. They'll take me back again. Help me.
It's all right. It's all right. We won't let anyone hurt you.
Then let me hide. In that room.
No. Not in there.
Where can I go?
Anywhere but in there.
Julia! Julia!
They're coming, I tell you. It's all right. Oh, it's not all right. I'll hide behind them.
Hello? Who the devil are you people?
That's just what I was going to ask you.
We've come here on a very urgent matter.
And we're here purely by force of circumstance.
Oh.
We lost a connection and have to wait here until the next train.
But there isn't any next train.
Exactly.
You know what place this is?
Oh, rather.
This is Foul Vale Station.
Quite so. And now, perhaps you'll give us some explanation of your somewhat unexpected entrance?
Yes. My name's Price. This is Dr. Sterling. We're looking for my sister.
Your sister?
Yes. Have you seen a young lady about here? We've every reason to believe that she would come to this place.
Then she's run away from you?
In a way, yes. Have you seen her?
But why should she run away, and why should she come here?
That's not a matter which I wish to discuss with strangers.
Very well. In that case, I'm afraid we can't help you.
She's here somewhere, Price. I know that. Look in the other room.
Very well.
Stop! You can't go in there. Not yet.
Why not, sir?
Because there's something we must explain.
So she is in there?
No.
I'm sorry, but I don't believe you. You're being very foolish to interfere in this matter.
She's not there. I give you my word of honor.
It's not good enough. Open that door, Sterling. I mean to get to the bottom of this.
Hello. Here she is.
So there you are, Julia.
It's no good. I can't come back. You know I can't.
Come along, Julia. Let's get out of here while the rain holds off.
No, I can't.
Be sensible, Julia.
What's the use of talking? I must stay here. I can't help myself.
That's enough of this.
Don't touch me. Go away.
Confound it.
Oh, easy, Price, easy. Leave her to me.
If she won't come, we must take her.
1 minute. This lady has put herself under our protection.
Who the devil asked you to interfere? Kindly keep out of this.
You're not going to take this lady away against her will.
Mind your own business, sir.
It is our business.
You'd better explain it to them, Price. It's no good trying to ride roughshod in this matter. Come along, Julia. Let's sit down by the fire.
Very well.
Now then, listen to me, please. You people have heard the story about this place, I suppose?
Oh, yes, we've heard the ghost story. All about this station being haunted. Absolutely priceless, isn't it?
Yes. Please don't let my sister worry you. She suffers from, delusions at times.
Do you mean she's...
No, hardly that. It's all this infernal ghost train business. You see, she was near this station one night several years ago, and she thought she saw the train.
I did see it. You know I did. I did see it.
There, Julia.
You see, she's Cornish and believes in ghosts. She always has done ever since she was a child. I sometimes feel there's something psychic about her. Anyway, she thought she saw this ghost train. It was a great shock to her. It was so great a shock that it upset her permanently. She's perfectly well most of the time, but some nights she has this idea that the ghost train will run, and it has a morbid fascination for her. She feels that she must see it again. And this is one of her bad nights. And I hope you understand.
It will come tonight. I know it will.
Nonsense, Julia.
Not nonsense. I know it. I feel it. I'm never wrong. That night the tramp died, I felt it then.
There you are, you see, gentlemen. Don't let it alarm you. How did you get to know this story?
Well, the station master told us the yarn about an hour ago.
Oh, old Saul Hodgkin. Where is he, by the way?
Something strange has happened here tonight. Something unpleasant. We would like you to know about it.
Well?
The station master didn't want us to put up here for the night. He didn't think it was safe.
There, you see? He felt it too.
Well, he told us the whole story and then said he should go home. He took his cycle lamp, lit it, and went off. And then we heard a noise. When we opened the door, we found him lying outside, dead.
Great heavens.
I knew it. What did I tell you? Now perhaps you'll believe me. You think there's some supernatural force at work? Yes. Why, that's where they found poor Ted Holmes, lying outside the door.
Steady, Julia, steady. Now, I'm a doctor. Where is this poor chap? Let me see him.
We carried him into the ticket office.
All right, I'll go and examine him.
He's through there.
You see, it was a nasty business, and it gave us quite a shock.
Of course. Come along, Julia. It's time to be off.
No, I must stay. Everything's bearing me out. The train won't let me go.
There's a lot of difference between the coincidence of two men falling dead and a phantom train.
But the death of Ted Holmes was the beginning of it all. 20 years ago. Tonight.
Say, what's the joke?
Huh? I don't follow you.
Didn't you tell us that Saul Hodgkin dropped dead?
Oh, yes. We carried him in there. Why, what's up?
Go and look.
What the deuce is going on? He isn't there.
No.
Not there? He must be there.
I don't appreciate this joke, gentlemen, especially considering my sister's state of health.
But we all saw him. I've got it. I know it. It's all clear. Terribly clear. Listen to me. Don't you know that Ted Holmes was a short man with a beard, very like Saul Hodgkin? My father knew him well. I'll stake my life that at this very moment, old Saul is safe home in bed. It wasn't him you found lying outside. It was Ted Holmes. If it was Saul Hodgkin, where is he? A man couldn't vanish into the air.
Oh, this is absurd.
And the time when all this happened. Was it at 11 o'clock?
Yes.
I knew it. It was Ted Holmes.
We've got to get her out of here somehow. Come along, Julia.
Once and for all, I can't come. I'm going to stop here. You're trying to drive me mad. You know as well as I do that the train will come, and you pretend that it's my delusion. I know all about it. You want to put me away, just as you did before. You're trying to get me put away. I won't move from here. How frightened I am. I'll prove to you that I'm not wrong about this. You can kill me, but I won't go.
Enough of this, Julia.
Don't touch me. Go away. Go away.
Confound you.
Steady, Price, steady. Now listen to me. Why can't you humor her a little? She'll be as right as rain by the morning. Why don't you clear off and leave her to me? I can manage her better. You seem to excite her. I'll get her away, I think. And if not, let her stay here. The train won't come. And that may put an end to these attacks of hers. Yes, it's worth thinking about.
Very well. But I'm going, Julia. I'm hanged if I'm going to mess about here all night. Good night, all.
Good night.
Where's he gone?
He's gone home. Now, you have a little rest, and then we'll all go.
I'm going to stay here.
Very well, Julia, just as you like.
But it isn't as I like. It's because I've got to. Oh, this place terrifies me. This room is full of eyes. They all stare at me. Stare, stare, stare. This room is full of evil.
Yes, Julia, yes. Why not come away from it?
Why do you keep saying that? You know I'd go if I could. Why won't any of you help me?
We want to help you.
No, you're equally bad. You're as afraid of the place as I am, but you won't own it. You blame me.
Everything is all right, Julia. I'll stay with you.
And if the thing happens, you won't say I'm mad anymore.
No, of course not.
All right. They say when it comes, you hear the bell ringing dismally, frightfully. I wonder if the bell will ring tonight. Just listen. Drip, drip, drip.
It's just the rain, Julia.
Perhaps. I was thinking. This was the room where they brought those dead people.
Now, steady, Julia, steady.
It's coming, I tell you. It will be here soon. I can feel it.
Now, come along, Julia. Let's go into the other room. This place isn't good for you.
Very well, then.
Oh, I say.
Well?
I want to speak to you two.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I want to warn you about something.
What's that?
Well, the queer thing is, I don't know, but I feel it's my duty to warn you.
But what about?
I've got a sort of presentiment, a kind of nasty feeling, you know. I feel that we haven't got over the worst of this yet.
Oh, don't talk rot, man.
Oh, I don't know that it is rot. I want you to promise me something, will you? Good. I want you to promise me that if anything unpleasant happens, that you will be guided by me.
By you?
Yes. Oh, and you needn't look so beastly surprised. I'm not such an ass as I look, you know.
I didn't think you could be.
As a matter of fact, I'm rather a cute bird. Now, look, I want you to back me up.
Well, what are you going to do?
That's the funny part about it. I haven't the foggiest idea.
This is no time for trying to be humorous.
Why, my dear soul? I'm deadly serious.
Why?
I want you to hold this.
What?
And don't show it to anyone. Put it in your pocket. That's it. Now, do you understand?
No, I don't.
Of course not. Neither do I. Isn't it funny? Look here. I can depend on you to back me up, can't I?
Well, I shall use my own discretion.
Watch it. They're coming back.
I can't bear it. I can't.
It's all right, Julia. It's all over now.
Over? Why, it hasn't started. Look, I don't want to frighten you people, but I know what's going to happen. And it's going to happen soon. I can feel it.
Then come away.
No, it won't let me. It keeps me here. Why don't you all go away and leave me?
Because we're not frightened.
Well, that makes it all the more dangerous. Why won't you take my advice? You think I'm mad. I'm not mad. When the train comes...
The train won't come.
On it came that night, thundering down the valley. And then the brakes jammed on, jarring, tearing.
If the train comes, I'll believe the yarn. People can't mess about with railway trains.
Tearing of the brakes, grinding and rasping, the shriek of the whistle, and a dead man lying on the platform. The roar, louder and louder, and then into the river below, crash. Don't you hear it? Why don't you go? There's still time.
We can't go now.
For pity's sake, stop your ears and don't look at it. Remember what happened to me and be warned. Oh, do be warned.
The train won't come. It's not possible. What was that?
Now will you believe me?
A signal bell.
It might have been the wind that caused that.
No. No. The bell. The signal bell. It always rings.
But hang it all, this is the 20th century.
1,000,000 years would not be a second in eternity.
Look, what's the time?
It's a minute to 12.
What was that?
Eh?
I thought I heard a train whistle. It's coming. It's coming.
It's your imagination.
No, I'm sure I heard a whistle.
Well, let's go and see.
No, stop.
Why, gosh, she's right. It is a train.
It's coming. It's coming.
Steady, old girl.
Thundering down the valley. It's coming. It's coming on.
I'm going to see. Oh, it's stuck. The door's stuck.
It's bolted or fastened somehow. And this door's locked, too. We're shut in.
No.
We are, I tell you. We're shut in.
Listen to it. I've got to see it. I must see it. I've seen the driver. He was...
You are listening to The Ghost Train.
How is she, Doctor?
It's difficult to say. It's a strange business, and I'm puzzled.
You're sure she's not dead?
Oh, no, she's not dead. Her heartbeat is faint, yet it's pretty steady.
Haven't you got one of those, what you call them? Oh, you know what I mean, those listening-in jiggers?
Stethoscope, you mean?
Oh, yes, that's it. Yes.
I've none of my instruments with me. Oh, that's the devil of it all.
Then you don't know what's the matter with her, Doctor?
No, I don't. She's had these strange turns before, but they've never ended like this. Seems like a stroke of some sort. But so many symptoms are absent.
What symptoms are absent?
You wouldn't understand if I told you.
Tell me and see.
You're a most extraordinary young man. What difference does it make?
Oh, I don't know, just idle curiosity. I mean, suppose we all have strokes. It would be rather useful to know when it's coming on, wouldn't it?
You don't think anything else will happen to us?
Oh, I expect so.
You're a prize idiot.
I don't know why it is, but you've all got it in for me.
Why can't you just shut up? Every time you open your mouth, you say something silly. Oh, I can't understand this. The train did come through right enough. I can't get away from it. And then there's Miss Price. What could it have been that sent it off like that?
I don't know what's the matter with her.
Do you remember when she said she saw it? She was going on to tell us about it. I saw the driver, and he was... And then she fell.
Yes. Yes, of course. That bears out the story of the ghost train. Anyone who sees it dies.
But, my dear old thing, she's not dead.
No, not yet.
Then you think that she's...
You can't tell. You know, she's very ill.
Oh, it's all terrible. Oh, Dick, can't you take me away?
My dear girl, the doors are locked and the windows are barred. We can't get out.
You won't leave me, will you, Dick? I should die if you went away.
I won't leave you, Elsie. Don't be afraid.
Oh, I've been such a fool, Dick. Such a fool.
Yes, well, never mind that now, old girl.
But I do mind, Dick. I mind terribly. I've been so horrid to you.
Oh, no, Elsie.
Oh, it's jolly queer about this lady, you know. If she hadn't been taken ill, she would have told us something about this train.
There's no good puzzling about this business. We're up against something too big for us.
You really think that...
I see no other explanation. When I came here tonight, I thought the legend about this place was superstition. We must take the facts into consideration, though. And they can't be explained away. If it was old Saul you found outside the door, how did his body get out of the ticket office? There's no window with the skylight.
If only she had told us something more before she fell.
Oh, I say, look. She moved her arm.
Julia. Joe, you're right. Julia. Feeling better?
What am I doing here?
Steady on. It's all right. It's all right. No. Don't try to move.
Oh, my head aches. I expect you knocked it when you fell. Fell? I didn't fall, did I?
Don't you remember, Julia? Now, let's see if we can piece things together a little.
Yes. Yes. I remember now. We heard the train in the distance, and I jumped on the table, and then I fainted.
Yes. Now, listen. Julia, this is what really happened. The train came through the station, and after it had gone, you said you saw the driver. And just as you were going to tell us about it, you collapsed. It gave us a fearful shock. We thought at first that you were dead.
Oh, I don't remember anything about that. Then the train did come.
Yes, it did.
And none of you saw it?
No, only you. The doors were fastened. We couldn't get out. In fact, we can't get out now.
Exciting, isn't it?
Oh, it's awful. What can we do?
We must all get away from here if we can.
Only we'd gone with Herbert.
I wish to goodness we had.
Oh, listen. There's someone outside.
Stop, don't go near that door.
Why not?
Have you forgotten the rest of the story?
I don't quite get you.
Who do you think that is out there?
Someone to open the beastly door, I hope.
Suppose it's Ben Isaacs.
Yes. Who the devil's he?
Haven't you heard the rest of the story? How Ben Isaacs went mad? Yes. Yes, they told us that.
It can't be.
Who knows?
Oh, don't be a fool, man.
Listen.
Who's there? Come in.
No, don't let it.
We must get to the bottom of this.
I'll set it. I'm breaking the door down.
Oh, no. Don't let it in. Don't.
Don't be a fool, man. It's gone, whoever it is.
Thank heaven for that.
Well, this caps the lot. I wish we knew what the game was.
If it had been a man, he would have answered. How many times did he knock?
6. Well?
I've just remembered something. There were 6 knockings at the door. The old station master said there were 6 killed. Yes. 6 dead bodies they brought up from the mud and laid out in this very room.
Steady, Julia.
I don't think that's got anything to do with it. We've no proof of it.
We've no proof of anything, for that matter.
Oh, those footsteps again.
Rock of ages, clear for me.
Listen.
Let me hide myself in thee.
It is Ben Isaacs.
Yes. Oh, this is awful. What can we do? I can't stand it. I can't stand it.
Steady, Elsie, steady.
I can't stand any more of it. I can't, I tell you.
Stop now. He's gone away.
But suppose he gets in. What should we do?
Come along, Elsie. Try and pull yourself together. Whatever it is, it can't hurt us.
Oh, there he is again. He's trying to get in here. What can we do? What can anyone do?
That's just it. What can we do? Something must be done or these women will go mad.
Look, I say, you fellas, just listen to me.
You shut up. You'll only make things worse.
Now, look here.
Quiet, will
There
you?
is nothing to get excited about.
Oh, no. What do you suggest, Doctor?
Do you feel well enough to walk, Julia?
Yes, I think so. I'll do anything if only we can get away.
Then we'll go now.
Yes.
Then let's get out of here as soon as possible.
Where can we go?
Anywhere. There should be shelter in a shed or a barn somewhere. Anything is better than this, don't you think so?
But, my dear old things, you've forgotten something.
Eh?
What's that?
We're fastened in, aren't we? We can't get out.
But we can break down the door.
Then we shall have to pay for the damage. Oh, and there's another thing, too.
And what's that?
If we break down the door, we shall let in that chap outside.
Oh, yes. Oh, don't open the door, whatever you do.
Now, look here, Elsie. If it's a man outside, it's quite safe. We're 4-1. If it's not a man...
Oh, Dick.
If it's not a man, no locked doors will keep it out.
Yes, I suppose you're right.
Come on. Let's have another try. Oh, they're still fastened, both of them. We'll break this one down.
Oh, there it is again.
Rock of ages, cleft for me. Let me hide myself in thee.
Oh, we can't go out there. We can't.
We shall have to face it. It's madness if we stay here.
Now something's the matter with the gas. Oh, great heavens, the light's going out.
Oh, no, no, no. Some devil's work here. Well, let's go. Let us go. Dick, I can't see.
It's all right, I'm here.
It's all right, everyone. I've got a torch here. Now, everyone all right?
I think so.
There's a smell of gas. Oh, I believe it's on again.
Right. Ah, the lights are on again.
Look at that. The doors have opened.
Come along. Let's clear out.
No, hang on. Wait a moment.
No, we won't wait a moment. We must go quickly. We must. Oh, I'm afraid to go.
There's no one about. It's quite safe now.
We'd better get ready to bolt for it.
No. Please, one moment, all of you.
What are you starting again?
I want you all to listen to me and take my advice.
You're a fine fellow to give advice on anything, aren't you?
In this case, I am old fruit.
Well, what is it?
Let's all stay here.
Stay here, but good heavens. Don't listen to the fool. Stay here, indeed.
Yes, and why not?
Because we're in great danger. We're up against some devilish thing. And if we stay, there's no knowing what may happen to us. It was different when the door was fastened. We had no choice in the matter then. But now it's up to us to take the opportunity and bolt.
Yes, but listen, old thing. In spite of it all, none of us have been hurt.
What about this lady?
Oh, she's all right now.
Don't talk like a fool. We're not staying a moment longer.
All right, you are, old thing. Go if you must, but I'll stay.
Come along. Come along now. I say come along. You can't stay.
Oh, really? Why not?
Why not? Because it's not safe, you fool.
I'm deeply touched that you should be so anxious for my safety. I had no idea I was so popular.
Oh, enough of this. Come on. You're coming.
On the contrary, my dear sir, I am not.
And why not?
Because I happen to be a silly, obstinate ass. And when a silly, obstinate ass makes up his silly, obstinate mind, he usually gets his silly, obstinate way. Now, do you follow me?
Once and for all, you are not going to stay here alone.
Oh, you surprise me. What are you going to do about it?
I'm going to take you by force, if necessary.
I think not.
Now, listen to me. Listen to me, you young fool.
I listen, you old villain.
What do you mean?
Oh, nothing. I was merely exchanging pleasantries with you. I don't see why you should have a monopoly of all the insults.
Come on. Out with it. Plain and to the point. Why have you made up your mind to stay here?
Pure cussedness, for one thing.
Yes? And what else?
Let me see now. Idle curiosity.
About what?
I want to see what happens next.
Do you mean to say you'll risk your life and reason for that?
Oh, quite.
A chap's gone mad. Come. It's our duty to take him away with us.
Wait a bit, Doctor. Just wait a minute. There's a bit more in this than meets the eye. And, I believe you know something. Come on, out with it.
All right. I tell you. I'm jolly well going to wait here and see that train come back.
What train?
The train that went through an hour ago.
But it won't come back.
Oh, how do you know?
There's nothing in the story to suggest it. And if it did come back, it might mean death to all of us. And take warning by what's happened to me. Do you want to go through my frightful experience?
This train has a supernatural origin. Has it? Do you doubt it, then?
To be perfectly candid, I do.
What's that?
Anyway, I'm going to wait and see.
What fools we are. If we waste any more time, it may be too late. It is too late. Ben Isaacs. Oh, now perhaps you're satisfied.
I'm blessed if I am.
He's got a gun.
And I plan to use it. Stop or I'll fire. Oh, Gus and no Gus, I've winged him. All right, that's that.
What have you done?
You'll soon see. Listen, the train again.
Oh, it's coming back.
Yes, it's coming back all right, but don't worry. I've got this in hand. I've laid one ghost already. I'm going to switch that ghost train onto the siding.
Stop!
Get
Stop!
back and put your hands up. Where are you, Richard?
Here I am.
Remember what I told you? Now, where's that revolver I gave you?
I've got it.
And watch this devil until I get back.
Oh, this is a gross insult.
All right, I've done it. We've got her back onto the siding.
Now, look here.
It's no good. The game's up.
You mean there's no ghost train?
That train's as real as the Plymouth Express.
But I tell you...
Quiet.
But what's the game?
I'm not sure yet, but you'll soon know. Here we are. Come in, gentlemen. Come in.
The deuce? The station master, but he's dead.
Yes, he got you all with that sham trick of his. Have you got them all, Jackson?
Yes, sir, I think so.
Oh, who's this chap? Who played the role of Isaacs? How different without a wig.
It's Price.
I thought it was you I winged. Are you hurt much?
You put a bullet right through my arm, blast you.
Thank your lucky stars it wasn't through your head. All right, what's your game?
Keep your mouth shut, Price.
Never fear.
Hadn't the doctor better see his arm?
Doctor? What doctor?
Dr. Sterling.
He's no more a doctor than you are. Didn't you see him take Miss Price's pulse with his thumb?
You're a fool.
Who the deuce are you?
Oh, haven't you tumbled to him yet? That's Detective Inspector Morrison of the Secret Service.
Not the Morrison who pulled that big stunt off at Cologne.
Quite. You all had rather a down on me, didn't you?
Well, I'm sorry
Got the
about
train
that.
all right, Jackson?
Yes, sir.
What was it they were carrying?
Just as you thought, sir. Machine gun.
Ah.
Machine guns?
Yes. Allow me to introduce you to some rather interesting people. Mr. Herbert Pineway and Mr. John Silverton of the Silverway Modeling Clay Company, whose works are a few miles up the line here. Mr. Herbert Pineway, alias Rupert de Alvarez of Barcelona, and Mr. John Silverton, alias Herr Otto Schneitz of Hamburg.
Great Scott.
And the train outside is full of machine guns.
You can prove nothing.
Can't I, though? I wasn't sure until tonight, but I made my mind up to get to the bottom of this, especially after you killed Heath.
Who's Heath?
The tramp they found dead, he was my best assistant. You can tell us about that, Saul.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. No one can prove it. It's their fault, every bit of it.
Shut up.
It's all very well for you. You have no wife and children. £5 they paid me to run that train down from their works to the old granite jetty and bring back their guns and such like.
It's a lie.
It ain't, and you know it. A score of times you done it, and now it's the likes of me as has to suffer. To the devil with a lot of you.
Got the cars all right, Jackson?
Yes, sir.
Take them away.
Come on, start moving, the lot of you. Now, none of you nonsense. Stop that. Because I'll belch on if you do it. Now, carry on there now.
I don't quite see it even now.
Oh, it's perfectly clear. We've had an eye on these people for some time. They started this clay works near here in an out-of-the-way spot to make it a distributing center for the arms they'd smuggled into the country. Almost anything can be hidden in clay. The puzzle was to find out how they got the arms into England at all. Well, in the end, I took up this case. I sent Heath to investigate, and he was brutally killed, murdered in this very room
Oh,
here.
no.
These people bought over the station master here and have been running a train about once a month from their works to the old granite jetty just down below here. Motor cars would have aroused a suspicion in a quiet place like this. A Hamburg boat brought the arms here, and, well, all the rest was plain sailing.
Then, is the whole story of the accident made up?
No. The accident did happen, and there's a strong local superstition about the ghost train. Most likely that gave them their idea. Anyway, it made their job easier, because people have been taught for years to run for their lives if they hear a train at night. And the great thing was that they didn't want anyone in this room tonight, because the guns might be spotted or the bottom knocked off the ghost story on which they rely. So when the station master couldn't get rid of us, they set about trying to scare us out. But they didn't do it, did they?
Phew. You mean that every bit of it was a put-up job?
Yes. When Saul found out he couldn't get rid of us, he went off to Price's house and told them we were here. Price's house is only about half a mile away from here, not 5 miles. There was no time to lose, so they jumped up just as they were and came along to put over some crazy stuff and shift us that way. It was all a put-up job, feints and all.
Well, then, why didn't Saul send us off to Price's?
They didn't want us there any more than here. This was their busy night, you know.
There is one thing I'm sure you're wrong about. This poor girl, she's as innocent as I am. They duped her just as they did us. Or else they've had some awful influence over her. I understand you, dear. I know you're not to blame.
I'm not so sure about her yet. Have you got that paper, Jackson?
No, sir. It's not on any of them.
Have you got it?
What paper?
You know what I mean. The list of the names of the Soviet emissaries.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
I see. Take her along with the others, Jackson. We'll make her speak.
Oh, no. No. For pity's sake, don't do that. I can explain. I know.
Then you know where it is?
Yes.
Out with it.
There's more I can tell you. A lot more. For instance, there's this. Put your hands up. A revolver. Clever you. I hold all the trumps. Against that wall. Back. Back. To think an amateur like that should try to put the once-over on me. Who are you? Get out of my way.
I'm darned if I will.
You stand a 50-50 chance of being darned if you don't. Get away from that door.
No.
Believe me, yes. When I shoot straight. Come on now. 1, 2...
Look out behind you.
What?
I got you.
Oh.
All right. Easy, lady. Take it easy. All right, take this gun, Jackson.
Yes, sir.
All right, now for the bracelets.
Here you are, sir.
That's it.
Oh, fool that I was being caught by an old trick. When I get out, I'll have a proposition to make to you. And, incidentally, that paper you're after, I just swallowed it. All gone.
Come along, miss.
Nighty-night. Be seeing you. Well, what an evening it's been.
It's 12:30. We've only been here for 4 hours.
I feel as if I've lived for a lifetime.
The car's waiting outside. Shall we go?
You know, I feel I owe you an apology.
And so do I. You deceived us completely. I thought you were a fool. But you were the smartest of all.
In tonight's production, The Ghost Train, the part of Teddy Deacon was played by John Simpson, with Merle Wayne as Julia Price and Tim Sutcliffe as John Sterling. Others in the cast were Douglas Bristow, Ian Calder, Yvonne Bristow, Tommy Reed, and Reg Richards. The Ghost Train was produced for Playhouse 90 by Yolande Dotman and directed by Henry Dittenthal. Playhouse 90. Tonight, Playhouse 90 presents The House by the Lake by Hugh Mills. A house by a frozen lake. The occupants, Dr. Maurice Holt, many years before struck from the medical register for suspect practices in hypnotism. Stella Holt, the doctor's sister, determined to see that the family is not ruined by their loathsome stepbrother Colin. Janet Holt, the doctor's neurotic wife who has suffered mental breakdowns and whose presence stands between Maurice and Stella's plan to murder. A murder is committed, but not quite in the way intended. And like all crime, it is the seed that leads to the complications of a further crime and a terrifying climax in The House by the Lake. Adapted and produced for Playhouse 90 by Dennis Folbig and directed by David Gooden.
Hello there. Anyone at home?
Just a moment. French windows are locked. I'll let you in. Good morning, Colonel Forbes. Sorry about that.
Good morning, Miss Holt. My own fault. I was passing. Thought I'd walk across the lawn. Is your brother in?
Morris isn't up yet, I'm afraid. I know it's after 11, but he goes to bed late, sleeps very little. He hasn't much to get up for these days.
Well, perhaps he has this morning. I like to think so.
Oh, would you like to talk to me about it? I mean, if you're here on business, I may be able to advise you. Do sit down.
All right. Thank you. Well, the fact is, I might be able to help him about his,
About his professional situation?
That's it.
I can't imagine how.
Well, the new chairman of the medical council is Sir Gordon White, a lifelong friend of mine. Well, yes, we were at Eton together. If anyone can help, he can.
Oh, you mean with a view to...
I mean with a view to getting your brother back on the medical register.
Extremely kind of you to have thought of this, but the fact is that Morris is very sensitive about...
Oh, yes, of course. We should have to be diplomatic, clever. And I'm not very clever.
Let's face the fact, Colonel. My brother has been in disgrace for 10 years. What happened was exceedingly unjust. But you must realize that living under such a cloud as that for so long has had a terrible effect on him.
Yes, quite. I just think it's a very great pity that such a useful life should be, thrown away.
It's more than a pity. It's a crime. Stella, dear, did you... Oh, Colonel Forbes. I didn't know you were here.
Oh, good morning, Mrs. Holt.
Do you want to see my husband?
I did, but after talking to your sister-in-law, we think it might be a mistake.
A mistake? A very great friend of the Colonel's has become chairman of the medical council. The Colonel was wondering whether to approach him. You mean about Morris?
Yes.
I've advised against it. Well, you know how Morris would hate it. I wonder if you're right. Colonel Forbes, do you know why my husband was struck off the medical register?
Vaguely. Don't know the details, of course.
The whole disaster was caused by Morris's and Stella's brother, Colin, stepbrother. You haven't met him, have you?
No, I haven't.
He lives at Grey Towers, the big house on the other side of the lake. You can see it from the windows. Colin is a financier. 10 years ago, my husband was treating a patient, Mrs. Hoyle, a widow. He allowed her to invest some money in a company Colin was forming, a few £1,000s. She had insisted upon it, but something went wrong. She lost the money and brought a legal action against my husband. And since he also had shares in the company, it looked very bad. A psychiatrist who influences a patient to invest in... Well, you can see. Morris had used hypnosis in treating her. He often did, quite successfully. You can imagine the headlines. Defenseless widow swindled by hypnotist, etc. Since then, of course, he's been in disgrace and not allowed to work. But Oh, the front door. Excuse me, I'd better answer it. I don't want Morris disturbed. Well, Colonel.
Mrs. Holt seems to know her own mind.
On the contrary.
I beg your pardon?
A mind of her own is exactly what Janet does not have. She was once very ill, you know.
Oh, she looks very fit.
Oh, it wasn't a physical illness. Janet was what is called a manic depressive.
She was unhappy to the point of suicide.
What? She tried to commit suicide, Janet Holt. I can't believe that. Oh, did she really, or just threaten to?
Well, she was found unconscious in a room full of gas with the doors and the windows sealed on 2 different occasions. I suppose you wouldn't call that a mere threat.
Good heavens, I'd no idea, but... Well, aren't you afraid she'll do it again?
Not at all. It's over completely. She's cured. Thanks to Morris.
Oh, good morning, Colonel. Forgive me for receiving you in a dressing gown. I didn't know which day you were coming. I expected you several days ago.
You did? But why?
Well, about a fortnight ago, you mentioned that you knew Sir Gordon White very well.
Yes.
I'd read of his appointment. And then on Sunday night, when we were at your house, you mentioned him again, dragging his name into the conversation with great difficulty. I knew then that you must have in your mind the idea of mentioning me to him.
Good gracious.
So, you see, I expected you to call and talk about it all. And I came down to tell you that you're...
Boy, you're down. Oh, has the Colonel told you?
I have told the Colonel, Janet. I told him what he's come here for, and I was about to tell him that the answer is no.
Are you sure?
It's impossible. No. They turned me out. They wanted to ruin me, and they have.
And all because of your stepbrother, Colin?
Who told you that?
I did, Morris. We were talking before the doorbell rang. I went to...
Who was it, Janet?
A man called Howard. He wanted to know where Colin lived. I told him the other side of the lake.
One of his shady cronies, perhaps. I think you should know, Colonel, not only was Colin to blame for everything that happened, but had he wished, he could have saved the situation at that time.
Oh?
He could have thrown in the resources of another of his companies to save the one that was in trouble. He didn't. He made the excuse that it wouldn't be fair to the shareholders to risk a second company. Some years later, we found the second company was himself and his wife.
Oh, that's enough, Stella. I'm sorry all this dirty linen should be washed in front of you, Colonel.
No.
But now you know the facts. I'm very sorry your visit has been so fruitless.
I understand. Yes, well, I'd better be getting along.
Yes, Stella will see you out.
Of course.
No, it's all right. I came by the French windows. It's quicker the back way.
Oh, very well. Oh, I see they're still skating out there on the lake. Isn't it becoming rather dangerous? It was beginning to thaw yesterday.
As Chief Magistrate, I'll do something about it. Bye.
Goodbye, Colonel. My kind regards to your wife.
Thank you.
What a kind man. I don't understand why you are so worried about the skating, darling. That's twice you've mentioned it.
Well, we don't want an accident, do we? I warned Colin yesterday it was risky to walk across the ice from his house to this one. It's even more dangerous now. Janet, I'd like to talk to Stella. Would you mind leaving us together for a while?
For long?
Just a few minutes.
Very well. Will you let me know when I can come back?
No, it's all right. She'll go to her room. Now, Stella, let's go over it all once again. We must think of every possible hitch.
You've thought of everything.
I can't be too careful. Now, Colin will come at about 8 o'clock. No danger of him bringing Iris. He's always said wives should be kept out of business. Anyway, she's going to a whist drive. Now, she won't be home before 11.
We shall finish dinner by 9. I'll leave the table first. I'll prepare coffee in here. You keep him in the dining room until I call you.
Yeah, how much of this stuff have you got?
2 grains.
Where is it?
Upstairs. I'll put it in my bag before dinner and bring it down.
Yes, I've arranged for Janet to call on the Davidsons. She won't get back before 10:30. Now, we're going to say that he never turned up. All right? Now, what about the plates at dinner? The table set for 3?
I shall say I'm not well. I shall eat nothing. 3 places laid, only 2 used.
Oh, the pathways have all been swept. No footprints on the ice anyway. There'll be a general thaw soon. The impression will be that he went through the ice on his way here, an ordinary accident. Now, we must ring his house at 9 while you're making coffee. We wouldn't sit here without inquiring where he got to. You think you can go through with this, Stella?
Yes, we've got to.
I must have money. For Janet. Oh, it's strange how it all seems to come back to Janet. You and I could go to the other side of the world, make a fresh start. But Janet, well, I can't go away and leave her with insufficient means. That's out of the question. I think... Oh, shh. She's coming back.
Isn't it all right for me to come back now? It was lonely in my room. And I knew you'd have to stop talking because Colin is coming up the garden path.
What? Colin? At this time of day?
Oh, sure, Janet.
I saw him from my window. Look.
Good morning, all.
Oh, how are you, Colin?
I'm well, Janet. I trust you are.
What do you want?
Oh, really? Do try and sound a little more genial, Morris.
Is Iris not with you?
She'll be here in a few minutes. I came across the lake.
You shouldn't. Morris thinks it's dangerous.
How kind of you to think of my safety. I believe you're acquainted with Colonel and Mrs. Forbes, Morris.
Slightly. Janet and Mrs. Forbes are good friends.
Ah, and Mrs. Forbes is on the council. That may be the saving grace.
What are you up to, Colin?
Morris, you remember those shares we have in the Majestic Cinema in the High Street?
I can't sell them. I wish I could.
Well, there's a chance that we can clean up there. But not if the council grants a license for the construction of a bigger cinema and dance hall bang on the opposite side of the street. That license is being asked for. Now, if Janet can persuade Mrs. Forbes...
Colin, that's monstrous. Mrs. Forbes would never agree to stopping anyone getting a license because it's to your advantage.
It's to your advantage, too, Janet. You see, I'm in this to the tune of £12,000. Unless I can turn this to my advantage, I'll be in the soup. So will you. Because I'll have to sell this house.
Oh, no, you can't. You can't, Morris. Don't let him. You can't.
Keep calm, Janet. Keep calm.
We can't be turned out of this house. We've lost everything else. Where shall we go? What shall we do?
This house should have come to Morris and me, and you know it. Father was a fool to leave everything to your mother to decide.
I'm not going into past history, Stella. Either you do as I wish, or you will very shortly have no home. Think it over, and be very persuasive with Mrs. Forbes for your own good. Ah, the wife. My dear old Iris. Got here at last.
Shut up.
Poor old Iris. She was frightened to walk on the ice, so she had to go all the way around by the road.
If you had any breeding, you'd have walked around with me. But of course, you've only the manners of a farmer.
Now, you shut up.
Now, please excuse me. I don't enjoy the way you treat your wife, Colin. I'll see you tonight.
You'll spoil your makeup, Iris. Won't that be a pity?
Don't speak to me.
I'll give you 5 minutes to pull yourself together. If you're not ready by then, I'll lunch without you.
Leave me with her for a while, Stella.
Oh, very well. Wait for me, Colin. Let's talk about this transaction in more detail.
Oh, Iris, my dear, how did it start this time?
I told him I didn't want to teeter across 100 yards of ice in these shoes. He swore at me. Hit me. I don't know why I go on. My nerves wouldn't stand it. I could easily make an end of it. Quite easily.
Iris, what are you saying?
Oh, I could have peace, Janet. The possibility of endless peace.
Iris, what are you talking about? What have you?
Morphine.
You had some morphine? Enough to... Where did you get it from?
From Nurse Thompson.
Nurse Thompson has been supplying you with morphine?
Only a little at a time. But I've saved it up.
Iris, how much have you got?
1 capsule will relieve pain. 4 will make you go to sleep. 12 would kill you. And I have 16.
Oh, Iris, stop it. Stop thinking like that. Well, where are they, these things?
At home. You think I carry them about with me?
You must give them to me, Iris.
To you, of all people.
Oh, you needn't worry. That's all over.
All the same. You did try, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Twice.
Well, then...
But you could give me your morphine quite safely. I no longer see suicide as a solution to an unhappy life. I've come through all that. But you may be in the state that I was. Oh, you probably thinking the way I used to think.
But you are happy with your husband. I'm not.
That isn't as true as you think. I'm not happy with Morris. We've been through far too much. Things have been spoiled for us. Oh, please, Iris, forget what I tried to do. I shall certainly never think of that way out again. Iris, will you give me the morphine?
I can't.
Then promise me one thing. That you won't do anything desperate without talking to me first.
Are you coming or aren't you?
I'm coming! Promise.
All right. All right, I promise. Goodbye, Janet, darling. Thanks.
We're going to be late.
All right. There's no need to shout.
Oh, now what? Oh, Mr. Howard.
That's right.
You are the man who called earlier inquiring about Mrs. Collins' house, aren't you?
That's right.
Won't you come in?
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Collins was here. He just left with his wife. You missed him.
Oh, yes?
He is coming back here to dine with my husband and his sister this evening. But perhaps you could... Oh, but better not. You'd better call at his house across the lake tomorrow. It's none of my business, I know. But, do you wish to see Colin about money?
Well, yes, as a matter of fact. He seems to be a difficult man to find, but I'll find him eventually. Perhaps tomorrow. If not tomorrow, well, the day after. Or maybe we'll all meet again later today. Who knows? Oh, good morning, Mrs. Holt. Now, don't bother to see me out. I'll find my own way. We'll meet again soon. Yes, very soon. Goodbye.
Stella, it's too late. Too late. We should have finished dinner at 9. It's 25 past.
There's still an hour. Keep your head, Morris. Go back to Colin. I'll make the coffee and the phone call. Quickly now, he'll become suspicious.
Oh, for heaven's sake, be quick.
Hello? Oh, hello. This is Stella Holt speaking. Who is that? Oh, the maid. Oh, Maisie, is Mr. Colin with you? He's not. I don't understand. He was supposed to be coming here to dinner with Mr. Morris and myself. No, he hasn't arrived. It's so late. Well, if he does come in, remind him, will you? He must have forgotten. We'll eat without him. Thank you. Goodbye. Now, the coffee.
Everything else you said this evening, Colin, is all double meaning. And what about Iris?
The question of Iris doesn't come into it. Iris and I are through.
Why? What happened?
We had the biggest flaming row ever. I never want to see her again.
Here, Colin. Have some coffee.
You mean you've thrown her out?
I prefer to say that I asked her to be kind enough to go and live somewhere else. After all, I've supported her for 15 years.
She's done a great deal for you, Colin.
Done a great deal for me, huh? No one's done more for me than I've done for myself. Take this morning. I asked Janet to do a perfectly ordinary piece of business with Mrs. Forbes, and what do I get? A lot of moralizing. You've always been too sorry for yourselves. That's your trouble. You expect me to agree to the sale of the mill so that you can all sit back and do nothing for years. You're always expecting others to do the work, like Iris, whining and whimpering. All she ever does. What am I going to live on, she keeps asking. I don't know, I said. Maybe you'll have to go out and work like everybody else, I said. She didn't like that. Cigarette's not a light. Funny. I don't seem to be able to concentrate. must light the cigarette. I don't think I want to smoke. After all, I put it down in the ash.
Is he... Morris, is he...
I think so. I'll see. If you can just...
Oh, what do we do?
Answer it.
I don't think I can.
Then I will. Hello. No, I'm afraid he isn't. No, we were expecting him for dinner, but he didn't turn up. Who's speaking?
Who was it?
He didn't say. He hung up. Now, quickly. I must get this body out of here. It's quite dark. It's perfect. Now, let's get on with it. Put my coat on.
Wait. Listen. A car.
You fool. I told you we'd left it too late. Who is it?
How do I know? It's barely 10 o'clock.
We'll just get him off the floor. The large cupboard. They're just about in the room. Quickly. Help me. His legs.
Oh.
There. That's it.
Janet! There's someone with her.
It sounds like the Colonel.
Hello there. Colonel Forbes brought me home. Mrs. Forbes had a headache. We took her home first.
Evening. Good evening, Colonel.
We had a lovely evening. Wonderful dinner and champagne. Why, Morris, darling. Why have you got your coat on?
I went to the gate to look for Colin.
Oh, you don't mean to say he didn't turn up?
No, I'm afraid he didn't.
Oh, he really is impossible. Will you have a drink, Colonel?
Well,
whiskey. I think there's some in the cupboard.
No.
There's some out, Janet.
I'll get it. Do sit down, Colonel.
All right, thank you.
Oh, it's a pity you weren't with us this evening, Morris. The conversation at dinner turned to hypnotism. You are the only person who could have talked about it with authority.
Yes, very interesting. Couldn't quite understand some of it. I mean, can you hypnotize anyone?
Oh, provided they wish it. Yes.
And if they don't?
Then you can't. Of course, I'm talking about the first time.
If you've hypnotized someone often, then you can do it whenever you like, and whether they wish it or not. Morris could hypnotize me at this minute, even if I didn't want him to.
Really uncanny.
Someone at dinner was trying to maintain that you could use hypnosis to persuade someone to commit a crime. For example, murder.
Oh. I'm sorry. Your whiskey, Colonel.
Yeah, thanks very much. Very nice. Tell me something. If I were harboring a very harmful desire, let's say the desire to do someone in, you could, under hypnosis, relieve me of it?
Yes.
And could you, under hypnosis, on another occasion, give it back to me?
No doubt.
In fact, your power of evil would depend very much on mine.
Exactly.
Yes, very odd. Well, that was a good nightcap. I must be off now.
Thank you for bringing me home.
No, don't get up. I can let myself out. Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.
Well, now, Janet, dear, hadn't you better be going up to bed?
You wish to get rid of me so soon?
Oh, now, Janet, I'm tired.
You're always tired, Morris. Well, I'm tired, too. Tired of being the third person in this household. Very tired of that. I don't see why I should be asked to get out of the way the moment I come home. I've been out of your way all evening. I have to go out sometimes, don't I? Otherwise, I'd never go anywhere. When I come back, I often have an odd desire to talk myself back into your life again. But it's no good. You don't need me, your wife. You have Stella. Every night you crouch over the fire like a couple of old witches, talking.
Well, you spy upon us, eh? Sneaking out of your room to listen on the stairway. But not tonight. Now go to bed.
French windows. At this hour. We've been ringing the front doorbell for hours.
Oh, Iris! Whatever's the matter?
To make you hear, we had to come round this way. This gentleman, Mr. Howard.
Oh, how do you do?
We met this morning, but I don't understand what's wrong.
Mr. Howard, the detective. I'm under arrest.
What are you talking about?
That's not strictly true, sir. No one's under arrest.
But I shall be very soon. I've done it, Janet. I've killed him. I've
killed Colin. Iris, darling. Come, sit down.
Look here, what's all this about? I've been trying to get in touch with your stepbrother for some days. It's in connection with the falsification of the accounts of the Brocklebank sawmills.
What? Oh, my sister and I are part owners. We've been trying to get Colin to sell.
Oh. Did you know that certain checks have been forged in connection with that company?
Oh, no.
I'm afraid so. I went back to your brother's house this evening. He was out.
Yes, he was to have come here, but he didn't.
I waited, but Mrs. Holt came back. She told me something rather sensational.
Well, I told you what I'd done, that's all. Why didn't you arrest me? Oh, Janet. Janet, I put morphine in his whiskey flask. You know he always carries it.
Morphine? Where did you get morphine
Oh, she
from?
got it from Nurse Thompson, who had no right to let her have it.
We've asked Nurse Thompson to come over here. We telephoned her before we left. Do you mind if we open this door so we can hear her when she rings the front door?
Iris, tell me what happened.
He had a dreadful scene. He started to knock me about, and then when he went out of the room, I saw his whiskey flask. I was boiling with hatred. I put all the morphine into it. I went out of the house. I just walked. I think I went into a church. I can't remember. I just walked for hours. And I went back home. And I found Mr. Howard there. I told him. That's all.
Oh, now, dear. But where is Colin? We must find him. He may not have touched the flask yet. Where is he? He was supposed to come here. Where is...
Oh, that'll be Nurse Thompson.
I'll go.
Cigarette, anyone?
No, thank you. I don't.
Mr. Holt?
No, neither do I.
This way, nurse.
Evening, all. Now, what can I do for you?
Oh, nurse. This is Mr. Howard. He's from the police. He wants to ask you some questions.
Why? What's happened?
There seems to be the possibility that Mr. Colin Oakes has been murdered.
Oh? Well, I can't say that I'm surprised. If anyone asked for it, he did. Who do you think did it?
I did.
Nurse,
What?
you've been visiting Iris Holt for some time. She's been allowed to have small quantities of morphine?
Yes, that's so.
Mm-hmm. Given to her by you a little at a time.
Yes?
Until about 6 months ago, when the doctor said she wasn't to have any more.
Yes. Go on.
Some weeks ago, she began to ask for more morphine again. It was forbidden. Did she ask you to procure some for her? In small doses?
Yes.
You had no right to do that.
Maybe not. However, it doesn't worry me. I've nothing on my conscience. It wasn't morphine that I gave her. It was caster sugar.
Oh, nurse.
True.
Do you realize what you're saying?
Oh, I'm sorry, Iris, dear, but I was afraid you were collecting the morphine. I didn't know why. I didn't think you were collecting it for your husband. In fact, to be frank, I thought you intended it for yourself. So I bought the capsules empty from the chemist's, and I filled them with caster sugar.
And they were quite harmless.
Quite.
Oh, nurse.
There, dear, don't let on. It's all right. There.
Well, that rather alters the look of things, doesn't it?
Yes, I'm afraid you've had quite a lot of trouble for nothing, Mr. Howard.
Oh, yes, perhaps. But there's still the other little matter of a forged check to go into when your stepbrother turns up, isn't there?
Well, he won't come here tonight. Not at this hour.
Then perhaps I should take Mrs. Holt back home. He may turn up there.
Oh, yes, yes. Will you go with them, Janet? Look after Iris.
Of course. Come on, Iris, dear. We'll take you home. All right now?
Yes. Yes, I'm all right. I'm so sorry, Morris and Stella, to disturb your evening like this. You forgive me?
Yes. Yes, of course.
Of course we do. Go home to bed now. I'll come with you. I'll give you an injection. Make you sleep. That will do you good, won't it? Come on, then.
Well, good night, then.
Oh, good night.
Good night.
I shan't be long, Morris.
All right, dear.
Morris, I'm sorry I spoke as I did about you and Stella. I think I may have had too much champagne. Please say you forgive me. You may be in bed by the time I get back.
I forgive you, Janet. There. That better?
Oh, thank you. What possessed me suddenly to behave like that, I can't imagine. You must admit it. It isn't like me.
Subconscious, perhaps.
Good night, Stella.
Good night, Janet, darling.
If it was my subconscious, Morris, then it's all your fault. I consider my subconscious to be your affair.
Morris, what can we do?
We carry on as though nothing had happened. It's the only thing we can do. Now, the cupboard. Come on, give me a hand.
One moment. Oh, Mr. Howard, do come in.
Good evening, Mrs. Holt.
Good evening. If you want my husband and Stella, I'm afraid you're too late. They were called down to the police station. Inspector Edwards asked for them. Oh, we've been answering questions all day, ever since they found Colin's body in the lake. Oh, what a terrible day it's been.
I do sympathize. I just left Colin Holt's house. I came across the lake.
Oh, you didn't? You walked across the ice after what happened last night?
I examined the ice very carefully this morning when your brother-in-law's body had been taken away. I even jumped up and down on it. It didn't break. Strange, isn't it? Oh, have you any cigarettes? I seem to have run out.
Oh, of course.
No, thank you. Yes, you're the only one in the house who smokes, aren't you?
Oh, yes. How did you know?
I offered a cigarette to your husband and his sister last evening. They said they didn't.
Mr. Howard, why have you come here? Well, what are you trying to tell me?
It's strange. If we hadn't had that curious incident last evening when Iris Holt confessed to attempting to kill her husband, I suppose all this would have passed on as just another accident, death by drowning, but an autopsy was performed on Colin Holt. He was already dead when he entered the water.
Oh, no.
Also, he had been poisoned.
Oh, but you mean Nurse Thompson and Iris?
The police are working on the theory that the nurse was lying to protect Iris. They've both been arrested.
Oh, no. Oh, poor Iris. Oh, I must tell my husband to telephone him at the police station.
Wait, don't do that. You'll know by now. The reason I called was because I knew he and Stella would be out. I wanted to talk to you.
Why?
Because of the 3 people who live in this house, only you have an alibi.
Are you suggesting? What do you mean?
Do you think it possible that Colin Holt did come here to dinner last night?
Oh, good heavens, no, of course not.
You ever smoke cigarettes with filter tips?
Oh, no, never.
There was a filter tip cigarette in this ashtray last evening.
Are you sure?
Yes, positive. Colin Holt smoked filter tips. Of course, that's not enough to prove that he was here last night. But this could be.
What is it?
It's a cigarette lighter. His initials are on it, look. You recognize it?
Oh, yes. Yes, I do. It was Colin's. But where did you...
I found it on the path. It's gold, you see, against the snow by the woodshed. Of course, it could have been dropped there yesterday morning.
Oh, no, it couldn't. Because when he was here yesterday morning, I remember him using it. He lit a cigarette for me. And when he left, with that lighter in his pocket, he left by way of the front garden on his way to town.
Thank you, Mrs. Holt. You've been most helpful.
But even if he did come here last night, it was still Iris who put morphine in his...
Forget about the morphine. I found the flask of whiskey that she doctored. It was in his cupboard. Hadn't been touched. And anyway, the poison was a large quantity of hyoscine, not morphine at all. It was hyoscine, administered in coffee, most likely. After dinner coffee.
Oh, Mr. Howard, I'm frightened. Morris and Stella, it isn't possible.
Keep calm, Mrs. Holt. Now, you've got to help me. Listen carefully, there's no time to lose. If you confront your husband and his sister with this, there'll only be unpleasantness. If they're innocent, they'll be bitterly hurt. And if they're guilty, they're bound to lie.
What shall I do?
Leave this lighter in a place where Colin might have dropped it. Observe them both. If they've nothing to hide, they'll say, "Oh, great heavens, look at this. It's Colin's lighter." If they take it and conceal the fact, then they do know. Well?
Where shall I hide it?
On the floor. near the chair where the ashtray is. That's where he must have sat.
Oh, they're back.
Oh, now, quickly, plant the light. I'll let myself out by the French windows. Now, here, you take this card. It's got my phone number on it. Ring me later. Now, quickly.
Oh, I can't do this. It's too horrible. But I must know.
Janet, Iris and Nurse Thompson have been arrested.
I don't understand.
Colin was poisoned.
Oh, no.
When the nurse was questioned last night, she obviously told the first lie that came into her head. She gave Iris hyoscine, not morphine.
So you believe that Iris is guilty? But if she did, how did she get Colin into a lift?
Well, no doubt she and the nurse smashed a hole in the ice and put him in.
Oh, but Iris isn't very strong.
Oh, Nurse Thompson is.
But why didn't Iris confess that part of it, too? There was no reason not to have told us where the body was. Surely she would have come out with everything. And why didn't the nurse...
Please, Janet, for heaven's sake. We just had a whole day of questioning. Now, please. Oh, I'm sorry. You pour me a drink, will you?
Oh, yes, dear. Yes, very well. The usual?
Yes. Yes, please, the usual.
Morris, the lighter on the floor.
Is it all right, Stella?
Hey, don't drown us.
Did you want a drink, Stella?
No, thank you.
Well, what's the next step, Morris?
The inquest tomorrow.
Shall we have to go?
Oh, no doubt. All right. I think I'll go to my room.
No, Morris. Morris? No, please.
What is it now?
I saw you. In the mirror as I poured the drink, you picked up Colin's lighter from the floor and slipped it into your pocket.
What are you talking
Now, don't
about?
lie to me. I knew it was there.
What is this, a trap?
Morris, I must know. Was Colin here last night?
Janet, dear, your imagination must be running away.
No, it's not. I know that was Colin's lighter. I found it outside by the woodshed. I knew Colin couldn't have dropped it there yesterday morning, but because he left by the front way.
This is new for you, the role of a sleuth. Do you think Stella and I know more than we're telling you?
Oh, you must do. Morris, why don't you tell me the truth? Give me some proof.
Proof of what?
That Colin didn't come here last night. Proof that Iris isn't going to be accused of murder if she's innocent.
But Iris herself confessed that she'd done it.
I suggest you leave this to the proper authorities to investigate. You're hardly mentally equipped, are you, for the task of a judge?
You mean I'm not to mention this at the inquest?
Have you mentioned it to anyone else? About finding the lighter, I mean?
How could I? I haven't been asked.
Then don't.
But Morris, I must. If it's going to help Iris, I must.
Must?
Morris, did Colin come here last night?
No.
But that isn't true. I know it isn't.
I said no.
Oh, it isn't any use, Morris. I know he came here. It's not only the lighter. There was one of his cigarettes in that ashtray there when I came in with Colonel Forbes. Oh, I wish I didn't know. I didn't try to find out anything. It is too much responsibility for one person. With poor little Iris at the police station, it's too much for me. Far too much.
Well, heaven help us now.
How did that lighter get into the garden?
Well, it must have dropped from his pocket when I was carrying him.
I suppose she hasn't told anyone else.
I don't think so. No, for the moment we're safe. Janet mustn't leave the house, though, or tell... The telephone. She mustn't use the telephone. Now, let's see.
What are you doing?
I'm pulling out the cords. It's dangerous to have the phone working with an extension upstairs. That's it. Now, leave it as though it were connected.
I don't see how that can help us. Only until tomorrow. It won't stop Janet saying all she knows at the inquest.
Janet won't go to the inquest.
How could you let that lighter drop into the snow, dropping things?
It was dark. And what about you not spotting his unlit cigarette in the ashtray? She must have seen it as soon as she came in.
Morris, please, let's not quarrel. Let's keep our heads.
I wonder if she knows anything else.
She knows enough. We shall never have another minute's peace as long as she lives.
Yes. Yes,
That's exactly what I've been thinking.
What do you mean, Morris?
Can't you guess?
You wouldn't. You don't mean... You're going out of your mind. That's all we need to bring Scotland Yard into it. Even if it looked like an accident, even if it were an accident, who'd ever believe it was? Are you insane?
Keep calm, Stella, and listen to me. An accident? No. No, they wouldn't believe it, I agree. But suppose Janet killed herself.
They wouldn't believe that either. I tell you...
Now, wait. Suppose Janet committed suicide here, tonight, while you and I were sitting in the other room with a reliable witness.
It isn't possible.
Oh, yes, it is. It's perfectly possible. Now, listen. Telephone's still out of order, Janet.
Morris, sorry, I didn't hear you.
Did you want to speak to someone?
No, I was just wondering if we'd been reconnected. So many people must be wanting to call us.
Oh, I don't know.
Where is Stella?
I don't know.
Is that the truth?
Do you think I'm telling you nothing but lies? It's been a day of accusations, hasn't it?
I didn't want to accuse you.
It's very strange that you should have to do so. But, of course, circumstantial evidence is invariably confusing. 2 or 3 trivial things which may have some quite different explanation from the one you attribute to them are enough. Once the imagination has begun to work.
I don't see any other explanation.
Do you still feel convinced that Colin met his death in this house? You've been alone here for several hours now. What conclusion have you come to?
I don't know what to think. I've been trying to sort things out. I tell myself it must be so, and then I tell myself it can't be, and now, oh, Morris, I wish you'd talk to me. I feel so terribly alone.
You're overtired, Janet.
Oh, no.
Yes. You didn't sleep at all last night. You haven't eaten anything all day. Can you expect your judgment to be anything but muddled? I think I'd better put you to sleep and make you rest, don't you?
You mean artificially?
Yeah, it's always helped you to rest, hasn't it?
I could sleep without help. Why do you want to put me to sleep?
Because you're tired. So tired you don't know what you're saying. Look at me. Now listen. Sleep is all you care about. There is nothing left except a great desire for sleep. Now, when I compete the count of 5, you'll fall into a light and restful sleep. Now, look at me. 1, 2,
Morris.
3, 4, 5. You're only hearing my voice. Your eyes have closed. You're asleep. Relax. Sleep. Now, when I say open your eyes, you will be able to do so. But you will still continue to sleep. Now, you're very glad you let me put you to sleep, aren't you?
Yes, Morris.
Open your eyes. That's it. Now I'm going to place a hand on your head and you'll go into a deeper sleep. Understand?
Yes, Morris.
A very deep, deep sleep indeed. I'm going to suggest to you you no longer remember anything of the present. You don't even know the date. Not the month or the year. Can you remember?
No.
You're back in the past. You will feel just as you did years ago when you were unhappy. Bitterly unhappy. Remember?
Yes. I was. I am unhappy. Bitterly unhappy.
Now think of all the things you should tell me. I'm your doctor. Dr. Holt. Aren't I?
Yes. Dr. Holt.
Alice, Colonel Forbes is here. In the study? Yes. Is she?
Yes, she's under. Now listen. Tell him Janet is very depressed because of what has happened. Say that I am reasoning with her, and we'll join you in a few minutes. Now, when I do come in, alone, don't leave the room. We must both be with Colonel Forbes when it happens.
I understand. Was that your wife, Dr. Holt?
And my sister. Now, don't worry about her. Tell me about yourself.
I'm done for, Dr. Holt. Finished. I should never have grown up. I knew when my mother killed herself. I was 14. That I should have died too. Is suicide an evil thing, Doctor? Men say so. But if death is only an eternal, dreamless sleep, what is there to lose? Why can't people without hope lie down and sleep?
There's nothing wrong in that.
Is my case hopeless, Dr. Holt?
Hopeless. Your mother killed herself. It would be foolish to pretend that you will not do the same. Now, if I provide the means, would you be happy to leave this world where you're so out of place?
Oh, yes. I would. I would.
Here is a revolver. It's loaded. Now, listen carefully. Hold the revolver in your right hand.
Yes.
That's it. Now, I shall go out of the room. When you hear the door close, you will start to count.
Start to count.
You will count to 60. As you count, you will raise the revolver to your forehead. And when you reach 60, and not before, you will press the trigger. Understand?
I understand. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
I'm going now. Start to count when the door closes.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Mrs. Holt, what's going on? What are you doing? Oh, what the... Oh.
Well...
Mrs. Holt, in the name of everything holy, give me that now. Give it to me. Give it to me now. Give me that gun. Come on.
No. No, you shouldn't.
Now, don't be a fool. Mrs. Holt, let go.
I must do it. I must.
Come on, give it to me.
I must.
Hold, for pity's sake.
All right, let me handle this. Calmly now, calm. This is Dr. Holt speaking. Calm now.
Wait, Eric, what's happening?
Don't interfere, Colonel. Wait.
That's better. Now, give me the revolver. Come. We don't want to do that. After all. Quiet. Now, calm.
I could have done it. I could. Oh, Dr. Holt, don't leave me.
I won't. Be calm now.
Colonel Forbes, when you were invited here this evening, you didn't realize you were to have witnessed a so-called suicide. I only came myself because I rang up Mrs. Holt about a piece of evidence, a cigarette lighter. The telephone was disconnected, and that made me uneasy. I got here just in time.
But
Why should she try to kill herself?
She's in an hypnotic trance, Colonel Forbes. There's a police car outside, Dr. Holt. You and your sister are under arrest, and I must warn you.
All right. All right. Let me wake Janet.
Very well.
Janet, we are no longer in the past. We are no longer unhappy. You are forward in time to the day after Colin's death. Now, when I put my hands on your head, you will awaken. You will forget the past and its sorrows, never recall them again. You will look forward to the future with courage. Think of the future with happiness. You will not remember a single thing about this evening.
If you don't mind, no amnesia. Her evidence may be needed.
No, it won't. No, Mr. Howard. You see, I intend to plead guilty. You may wake up now, Janet. Wake up now.
In tonight's Playhouse presentation of The House by the Lake, you heard Edna Jacobson as Janet Holt, Rex Garner as Maurice, and Patricia Saunders as Stella. Colin Holt was played by Dale Cutts and Iris by Diane Wilson. Others in the cast were Kenneth Baker, Paddy Canavan, and George Carillon. The House by the Lake by Hugh Mills was adapted and produced for Playhouse 90 by Dennis Folbig and directed by David Gooden. This is Playhouse 90. From the stages and studios, producers and playwrights of the world, Playhouse 90. Tonight we present a play written by Philip Levine called The Weather for Murder. This is the story of Sarah and Elsie, who run a small but busy tea shop in an English village. Elsie aspires to becoming a great detective story writer, and her enthusiasm is considerably heightened when the Everett home catches fire and a charred body is found among the ruins. Philip Levine has succeeded in creating the atmosphere of a typical English village, and at the same time weave a story that will keep you enthralled. Listen now to The Weather for Murder, produced for Playhouse 90 by Michael Silver.
Elsie?
Did you call, Sarah?
Did I call? I've been shouting myself silly for the last 2 minutes.
Really? I was concentrating.
What on earth are you doing up here?
I had a sudden inspiration for a story. A most brilliant idea, Sarah. I was typing.
Well, surely it could have kept till later. You know we're rushed off our feet between 10 and 11. It's bad enough for the two of us. I can hardly cope on my own.
Oh, but this is the most ingenious idea. A whodunit. And it's set in one of those laundrettes. You know, where people take their laundry.
I'm afraid I can't stop and chatter now.
Oh, but Sarah, I must...
Listen, dear, listen. Now, leave that for now and come along down.
Good morning, Elsie.
Oh, Mr. Everett. The usual?
Please. I seem to have missed the rush.
Yes, we were frightfully busy earlier on. I was just about to have my coffee, too.
Well, join me if you like.
Oh, may I? Anything with your coffee?
Just a plain bun, I think.
Right. I shan't be a jiffy. Yours is half and half, if I remember rightly.
Yes. No milk for you?
No, I prefer mine black. They say it keeps the mind alert and clear, and that's very essential if one's doing creative work, don't you think?
How's the writing coming along?
Not too badly, but it's so difficult finding new ideas.
I don't doubt it. Still, I admire you for even trying. So many people just talk about writing and never do anything. I think it's very courageous of you.
Oh, excuse me just a moment. There's the postman. Oh, dear.
Another rejection?
I'm sorry to say.
Never mind. There are a great many other publishers.
No, I'm afraid there aren't. I've exhausted them all.
Well, then, there'll be other novels.
But I was so sure I'd sell this one. Into the wastepaper basket, I suppose.
Tell me what it was about.
Oh, I'd hate to bore you.
Oh, you never bore me, Elsie. On the contrary. Now, come along.
Well, it was about a private detective in Soho.
Do you know any private detectives?
No, I don't.
Have you ever been to Soho?
No, but I've seen pictures and read books.
Well, that's the trouble, you see. The best novelists write from their own experience.
Possibly, but... Well, I could hardly write about Froxdean, could I? So dull and boring. And this tea shop would hardly make a very exciting background for a thriller.
I wouldn't say that. At least you know the people. And murder isn't limited to any particular background or class. I'll bet there isn't a person anywhere who hasn't thought about murdering someone at some time.
Oh, not you, surely, Mr. Everett.
Oh, you'd be surprised. And, whilst I remember, I wish you'd call me Victor.
Oh, well, as long as Mrs. Everett won't object.
Well, why should she? Now, if you'll take my advice, Elsie, you'll start your next novel nearer home.
I'll try. I must say I'm getting a little tired of rejection slips. Oh, more coffee.
Just a little.
Oh, by the way, I knew there was something I wanted to ask you. What happened to that dog of yours?
My dog?
Yes, Dandy. Wasn't that what you called him? Such a beautiful Labrador, and quite the best coat I've ever seen.
I'm afraid I had to get rid of him.
Oh, not destroy him?
No, I had to find him a new home.
Oh, how could you part with him?
It wasn't through choice. Nora, Mrs. Everett, felt there wasn't room for him in the cottage. We've one or two fine pieces, and, well, he was rather a large dog.
Oh, what a pity.
Yes, but one has to give and take in marriage.
I suppose so. Anyway, you still have your dahlias.
Well, no, I haven't actually.
But I thought you had a wonderful collection.
I did, but Nora doesn't care for dahlias. She says they attract blackfly. We've switched to a herbaceous border.
Oh, how sad.
Oh, not really. I must say those blackfly were a bit of a nuisance.
I heard that one year you took almost every prize at the county show.
That's quite right, I did. Before you and your sister came here. Before I remarried. Several summers ago. It's odd when I think back now. Just Dandy and I, my dahlias, blackfly and all.
Your wife's from London, isn't she?
Yes, though we first met on a cruise. It's funny how it happened. My first holiday in years. She was a science teacher, you know. You wouldn't think it to look at her, but she's terribly bright, good brain. We seemed to get thrown together on the cruise. We were never out of each other's company. When I got back, I found I missed her. I wrote, and then out of the blue, she turned up here. And, well, that was that. Not terribly romantic. Won't give you much copy, I'm afraid.
I'm surprised you stayed on in Froxdean.
Well, at first, Nora was all for moving back to town. Then suddenly she changed her mind. I think it was the cottage.
Well, I don't blame her. I've only seen it from the outside, but it looks adorable. I love that beautiful bay window.
That's the lounge.
Oh, is it? It looks rather like an inn with that, what do you call it, bubble glass?
Bullion glass.
Oh.
Genuine, too. Not this mass-produced stuff. Gets a bit warm in the summer, but I must say I find it delightful. The only thing is, one has to be careful with the furniture, or the sun can blister the varnish.
Still, with such a delightful cottage, you must be enjoying your retirement.
Oh, I'm not completely retired, not by a long chalk. I'm still on the boards of several companies.
Are you?
Yes, Harmsworth's, Mutual Investments, not forgetting Berridge's.
What, the big London store?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I'll be driving up to a board meeting tomorrow. You wouldn't be going up to town, would you?
Me?
I thought perhaps I could give you a lift. We might have a bite of lunch together.
Oh, well, thank you, but I rarely go up to town.
Oh, well, some other time. Oh, here's your sister. It was time I was off. I'll take my bill, if I may.
Good morning, Mr. Everett.
Hello.
I'm glad I've caught you. I wonder if I might have a word with you.
Certainly.
Here, Elsie, take this sink tidy into Millie, would you? And then say you may as well take these groceries while you're at it.
Oh, yes, Sarah.
Oh, and tell Millie there'll be a delivery around about 3 this afternoon.
Righto.
Well, now, I hope I'm not holding you up.
No. What can I do for you?
Well, to come straight to the point, it's about that small vacant plot next door. I understand from my solicitors that it belongs to you.
I bought it some years ago. It was part of the old Lingfield estate.
Well, my sister and I were thinking of enlarging the shop. We're rather cramped here, as you can see.
You'll need permission from the local council.
Oh, I realize that. But I don't see why they should object.
Neither do I. Only, if you're thinking of making an offer, don't make it to me.
I'm sorry?
I made over a few properties to my wife at the time of our marriage, and I have a feeling that that's among them.
Oh, I see.
But there's no harm in your having a word with her. I'll tell you what, I'll mention it to her when I get back, and ask her to telephone you.
Would you? I'd be most grateful.
But knowing my wife, I'd better warn you, she'll drive a hard bargain.
Elsie, that wasn't Mrs. Everett on the phone, by any chance?
No, Mrs. Clark from the post office. She asked me to put aside a jam sponge.
I should think Mr. Everett forgot to speak to her.
Oh, if he promised, then I'm sure he will. He's a frightfully nice man. Such perfect manners.
Yes, but easily led. Fancy handing property to his wife just like that.
Well, that shows how considerate he is. I admire him for it. I think Mrs. Everett's a very fortunate woman.
You're not the only one. From what I hear, there were quite a few broken hearts in Foxfeen when the banns went up. Isn't that right, Millie?
Oh, yes, Mum. There were dozens who had their eye on him. Well, a cottage and car and pots of money. I wouldn't have said no to him myself. Still, he hasn't done bad for himself, has he? I mean, she's a very smart person, not at all bad looking. Got pots herself, I expect.
Shop, Elsie.
Right, Sarah.
Oh, that smells like the scones. Here, take the cloth or you'll burn your fingers.
Oh, good morning, Mrs. Everett.
Good morning. I'll take a wholemeal loaf and a small gâteau.
Certainly.
Oh, is that all you've got? Chocolate? The one I had the other day was rather sickly. Haven't you anything else?
Oh, well, we've a new line, walnut cream. I'm sure you'd like that.
May I see one?
Well, Millie's just topping them with walnuts.
Well, I've a lot to do this morning. How long will they be?
5 minutes, no more.
Well, if I've got to hang around, I'll have a cup of coffee.
Oh, well, I shan't keep you waiting long. Mrs. Everett's just come in. She's staying for coffee.
Really?
Would you believe it, Sarah? She said our chocolate gâteau was sick.
Oh, what nonsense. We've never had any complaints before.
I know. I almost gave her a piece of my mind.
Oh, well, I hope you didn't.
Oh, of course not. I persuaded her to try one of the walnut creams. Are they ready yet?
Oh, almost. I'll be through in a jiffy.
Well, then I'd better take in her coffee meantime.
No, Elsie. I'll serve her. It'll be a good opportunity to talk to her about that plot next door. Black or white, Mrs. Everett?
Just a dash. That's fine.
Oh, there's no sugar bowl. Just a moment.
Don't bother. I take saccharine. I've got my tubes somewhere.
Of course, I should have remembered by now. Anything else for you?
Not just now. Though I'm glad you brought the coffee in, Miss Pierce. It saves my telephoning. My husband mentioned you've been inquiring about the plot next door.
Yes. As he may have told you, we're anxious to enlarge our premises.
Business is flourishing, isn't it?
Oh, no, not exactly. But as you can see, we're rather limited for space. In our busy time, it becomes rather chaotic.
I see. Well, what sort of figure had you in mind?
No, I'm not very sure. Judging from what we gave for these premises, I suppose the land must be worth about 300.
300? Oh, Miss Pierce, you're way behind the times.
Oh.
In the past year, prices have simply soared.
Have they?
Don't you read your newspapers? Building lands at a premium, particularly in the rural areas. There are so many restrictions under town and country planning.
Oh, but I'm sure we get permission to build.
Yes, but then so could a great many other people. Yours isn't the first inquiry I've had. No, I'm afraid I couldn't let that plot go under 1,200.
1,200? Oh, but that's exorbitant. Why, it's more than we paid for our entire premises.
Then all I can say is you were very lucky that you purchased when you did.
But sure.
Now, I don't think there's much point in our discussing the matter any further, do you? So if my ghetto's ready, I'll settle the bill, and then I must fly. I've a very busy day ahead of me.
Elsie, if you're on your way to the kitchen, put on the other fan, will you? It's terribly close.
Yes, I intended to. 2 pots of tea, Millie, 1 china, and an egg on toast.
Isn't it turned warm? I'm sweltering.
Me too, you can say that again.
Still, I suppose I should be thankful I've no traffic duty. I wouldn't fancy that with the thermometer touching 80.
Is it as high as that, Sergeant?
A sudden high ridge sweeping in from the Azores.
Oh, is that what it is?
For once the experts were right.
Well, it's been a very poor summer so far.
Well, that's your telephone.
Answer that, would you, Millie?
Yes, Mum.
Oh, it's all right. Millie's taken.
Phew, I could do with an issue of Tropical Kiss.
Oh, I'm sure you'll feel refreshed once you've had your tea.
Well, let's have an ashtray while you're here, would you?
Oh, certainly. Here you are.
Ta.
Oh, I meant to tell you, Sergeant, I've given up writing stories about private detectives. I'm going to concentrate on something nearer home from my own experience.
That should be interesting.
Sergeant Foster.
Yes, what is it, Millie?
Oh, just now.
Now, just take it easy. Catch your breath.
That was your constable. He's had an urgent call. The Everett cottage is on fire.
I'm afraid there's little we can do, Sergeant. Like a raging furnace in there.
Are you sure there's no one inside?
My men couldn't get within 10 yards of the place. We can only hope and pray.
How do you think it started?
Oh, your guess is as good as mine. The county will be investigating later. That old timber construction's a menace. Once it's alight, there's no holding it.
Yes, some blaze.
Oh, we're lucky it's isolated. At least there's no damage to surrounding property.
You'll have to watch that garden shed.
Not to worry. My men have got their eyes on it. I see we've got ourselves an audience.
Yes, half the village have turned out by the look of it.
I wish they'd keep their distance. They're getting a bit too close to that fence.
Leave it to me. I'll handle them. All right now, folks. Keep well away from that fence. Come along to bed now.
Sergeant, what a pity about that lovely cottage.
Elsie, what are you doing down here?
I never could resist a fire.
I must see you won't see another one like this in a hurry. That roof will be in a minute.
Is Mrs. Everett safe?
Oh, we're keeping our fingers crossed.
She was in the shop this morning.
Was she? Well, what about her husband?
He's gone up to London for a board meeting. He mentioned something yesterday.
Where was this meeting, did he say?
Yes. He's a director of Berridge.
Oh, that's helpful. I'll try and get him on the blower right away. No, you keep away from that fence, please.
Hello, Everett speaking. Well, please come to the point, Sergeant. I'm in the middle of a board meeting. What? When did this happen? I see. Is my wife all right? Well, if she returns before I get there, tell her I'm on my way back. Yes, I should be there by 6. Yes, thank you, Sergeant.
Honestly, Elsie, I don't understand people at all. They only have to hear the word fire, and they start behaving like a bunch of school children.
Oh, Sarah, it's just natural curiosity.
Well, I can't see anything natural about it. It's morbid, if you ask me. I've never seen such a stampede. You, Millie, the place emptied itself so quickly, you'd have thought the tea shop was on fire.
You should have come too, Sarah.
I find little joy in watching other people's property going up in smoke.
It was still burning when I left. Poor Mr. Everett. Oh, he'd be so upset.
Yes. Well, I hope he had the good sense to be insured.
But that'll hardly compensate for the loss of such a charming cottage and all the inconvenience. I mean, where will the Everetts live?
Oh, they'll have to find a hotel.
To think of all their beautiful antique furniture.
Well, it'll be replaced if it's insured.
Oh, but Sarah, it's not the same.
Oh, be practical, Elsie. One chair's the same as another.
But they've lost everything except the garden shed.
Oh, it's about time Millie was back. I've something to say to her, gallivanting off without so much as a by your leave.
Oh, there she is.
And about time.
I'm so sorry, ma'am. The most terrible thing's happened.
No?
The fireman found a body in the cottage.
Oh, no.
It's Mrs. Everett, there's no doubt. And to think she was in here only this morning.
Now, use your handkerchief, Millie, for goodness sake. Are they certain it was Mrs. Everett?
Yes. I heard the fireman say, and Sergeant Foster was there, too. He phoned Mr. Everett, but they didn't know at the time.
How dreadful.
It was dreadful, ma'am. They had a police car there, and she was all covered in a sheet.
Yes, now, all right, Millie. Now, just pull yourself together. Get these tea things washed up, and then you can go off.
All right, ma'am.
Poor Mr. Everett.
Yes, very sad. But people get over these things. They're just like everything else.
Still, Sarah, we could offer to help.
Help? In what way?
It's an awful thought. The poor man will have to stay alone in some ghastly hotel room. Couldn't we offer to put him up for a day or so?
Well, I suppose
we've got a spare room, and he wouldn't be too much bother. He could eat down here. Oh, surely it's the least we can do.
Well, providing he hasn't made any other arrangements. After all, he might prefer the hotel.
I'll go across to the police station when we've closed. I expect he'll be there later on.
Here, Mr. Everett.
Thank you, Sergeant.
I know it's been a dreadful shock, sir. I hate to have to ask you to do this, but it's necessary for identification purposes.
I understand.
Just a glance, that's all, sir. She was lying face downwards, so it's not as bad as it might have been.
That's my wife, Sergeant.
Here, steady, sir.
I'll be all right.
There's a deed box in my office. I'm afraid that's all that is salvaged.
Thank you. I suppose I'd better look around for a room of some sort.
Oh, no need to bother, sir. Miss Pierce from the tea room said they'd be happy to put you up.
Really? I don't know whether I want to bother them.
They'd be only too pleased. You'll be much more comfortable there than in an hotel. And we shall need you for the inquest.
Victor Everett, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Do take a seat, Mr. Everett.
Thank you.
You are Victor Everett, formerly of Hillside Cottage, Meadows Lane, Froxby.
Yes.
On what occasion did you last see your wife?
On the morning of the 16th of July, at about 10:30. I was due at a meeting in London that afternoon, but I thought I'd go up a little earlier. My wife had some shopping to do. We left the house together, as I say, around 10:30.
And later that day, at approximately 6:15 p.m., you identified the body of a woman at the Froxdean police station as that of your wife?
Yes.
And now, Mr. Everett, although we shall be calling an expert witness in a few moments, have you any comments to make at this stage as to the cause of the fire?
No, I'm afraid I haven't. We used no gas in the house. My wife preferred electricity. And the entire cottage was rewired by the board about 18 months ago, shortly after my wife and I were married.
Was your wife in the habit of smoking?
No.
Were there any inflammable materials stored in the house?
None as far as I know. I've a bottle of thinners and some methylated spirits, but they're kept in the garden shed, well away from the house.
So you can offer no explanation as to the cause of the fire?
I'm afraid I can't.
Thank you, Mr. Everett. You may step down. Mr. R.A. Jenkins, County Fire Officer. Mr. Jenkins?
I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
On the 16th of July, you examined the debris and what remained of the residence known as Hillside Cottage, Meadow Lane, Froxdean.
I did, yes.
And did you reach any conclusion as to the origin of this fire?
I did, sir.
Will you state these conclusions to the court?
Certainly, sir. I examined the gas outlets and the main electricity supply. There were no signs of the fire originating from either of these points. Samples of the debris were tested for the presence of volatile, inflammable materials, but these proved negative.
Do go on, Mr. Jenkins.
I've had extensive experience locating what is known as the seat of the fire. That is, sir, its point of origin. And I'm of the opinion that the fire commenced in the region of the lounge window.
How exactly?
Well, the afternoon of the 16th was extremely hot, sir. Temperatures were in the 80s. The lounge window contained bullion glass. Now, due to several factors, the angle of the sun, the bubble in the glass, the sun's rays were concentrated onto the curtains, rather like a child playing with a magnifying glass. I should say that the temperature reached, well, it might have been in the neighborhood of 200 or 230 degrees centigrade, sufficient to ignite a certain make of cotton or similar fiber.
Were they of cotton?
I can't say, sir. They were completely destroyed in the fire, though the residue suggests that they may have been, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. You have been most helpful.
Thanks, sir.
In the case of Venora Everett, aged 42, who died in a fire at Hillside Cottage, Froxdean, we have heard the evidence of her husband, also the police pathologist and the county fire officer. And from their evidence, it appears that this fire was the accidental outcome of the combination of a number of elements.
Come in.
I hope I'm not disturbing you, Mr. Everett. I brought a few flowers from the garden to help cheer up the room.
I saw you cutting them. I didn't realize they were for me. Dahlias, too.
Are you quite comfortable?
Very. I really can't thank you and your sister enough. You've been so very kind.
Oh, not at all.
Though I don't think I can impose on you very much longer. I've been here over a week.
You're no trouble at all. It's quite a change having a man around the house.
I'm negotiating for another cottage, but these things take a little time.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you're welcome to stay till everything's settled.
Oh, thank you. How's the writing coming along?
Well, I've been thinking about what you said. Finding a subject nearer home.
Yes?
And to tell the truth, I did get an idea. But on reflection, I thought it might be in bad taste.
Well, that immediately makes me prick up my ears. Tell me more.
Must I?
Oh, come now. It surely can't be as bad as all that.
Well, you might change your mind if I tell you.
Try me.
Well, if you must know, it came to me during the inquest.
The inquest?
On your wife.
Please do go on.
Well, I thought it might be an idea to start my story with a fire in the village.
Oh, well, that's rather old hat, isn't it? I mean, it's been done so many times.
Yes, I suppose it has. I haven't really worked it out in detail. I thought I'd talk it over with Sergeant Foster when he drops in for tea. Unless, of course, you object.
Why on earth should I? No, do go ahead. Though, personally, I should have looked for something a little more original.
Oh, have you seen the Gazette, Sergeant Foster?
Hey, what's that?
Yeah, there's a picture of you and Mr. Everett leaving the coroner's court.
Oh, is they? Those reporters, they can't leave well alone.
Look, Mr. Everett's turned away slightly, but it's a very good likeness of you.
Oh, let's see. Oh, that's an insult if ever I saw one. By the way, I noticed you at the inquest, Elsie. You're scribbling away in your notebook.
Oh, did you, Sergeant? Yes, you see, finding myself in the coroner's court amidst tragedy, as you might say, I had a sudden inspiration.
You're out for another thriller.
Why, yes, the best novelists always write from their own experience.
Yeah, watch your step. That sort of thing can upset people, you know.
Mr. Everett, I'm thinking of.
Oh, he doesn't mind. Besides, I shouldn't use real names.
If you did, my girl, you'd find yourself with a libel
Oh,
suit.
no, Sergeant. My village will be entirely fictitious. I was going to call it Medborough or something far removed. I wouldn't think of giving offense.
Well, who's your choice for a victim?
I had in mind an attractive middle-aged woman.
Yeah, that's pushing coincidence a bit far, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Yes, I see what you mean. Oh, well, she could be young, I suppose. It doesn't really matter.
What about the method? Given that any thought?
Well, to be honest, the thing that sparked me off, forgive the pun, was the idea of the bullion glass. But instead of being an accident, the fire is caused deliberately in my book.
Sounds a bit far-fetched to me.
Well, I dare say it is. But I was hoping you'd be of some help instead of putting a damper on it.
But you must be realistic, Elsie. Perfect murder requires, among other things, perfect timing. No murder would ever leave things to chance. What happened at Hillside Cottage depended on quite a few things outside anyone's control. Well, for one thing, the weather. Then Mrs. Everett being alone and dropping off like that. As the fire expert said, the choice of curtains.
Oh, yes, you have a point there.
Mind you, I suppose there is such a thing as dramatic license. Anything's possible when you come to think of it. Off the record, of course, I suppose your murderer could have kept his eye on the weather reports. Just waiting for scorcher. But without climate, he'd have to wait half a lifetime. And then to make sure the victim did drop off, you could always slip her a couple of sleeping tablets.
Oh, but wouldn't that show at the autopsy?
Oh, depends what's left of the victim. In a case of fire, it's unlikely. Then regarding the curtains, I suppose one could persuade the victim to buy cotton. Oh, that's stretching the imagination a bit, isn't it?
Yes, it doesn't sound very convincing. Anyway, even if the husband did go to all that trouble, how on earth would I catch him out?
The husband, you mean?
Yes, how would I solve it?
That's your little problem. I'm no writer. Though for what it's worth, in my experience, criminals invariably have to lie somewhere along the way. And the trouble with liars is that they have such bad memories. Sooner or later, they drop a clanger. So, when you settle down at your typewriter, I'd bear that in mind if I were you.
Oh, forgive me, Elsie. I didn't realize you were in here.
Do come in, Mr. Everett. You're at liberty to use the sitting room.
I've just been across for an evening paper. I bought you a magazine.
Oh, how nice of you. But you shouldn't.
Very little in return for your kindness.
The pot's still warm. Would you like a cup?
Thank you. No. Don't get up. I'll see to it. Would you like a second? It'd give me pleasure to serve you for a change.
Oh, well, thank you. Oh, Sarah's at a club committee meeting.
Another?
She can't sit still for a moment. Always doing something. Been like that all her life, even as a child.
It must get rather lonely for you.
Oh, I'm used to it.
I'm afraid that is one thing I've never got used to, loneliness. I'm a person who needs companionship.
Oh, you must miss her dreadfully.
Mm-hmm. Who?
Your wife.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry. That was tactless of me.
Not at all. One can't grieve forever, can one?
Oh, do forgive me. Would you like a slice of cake? It's chocolate.
Yes, I think I will. But not too large a slice.
It's our own make, you know.
Yes, I've had your gâteaux on several occasions. They're excellent. But the one I'm really partial to is that new one of yours. What do you call it? Walnut cream?
Yes, that's one of Sarah's creations. Walnut cream, did you say?
Yes. Even Nora was aghast when I asked her for a second helping. Oh, don't look so surprised. I've a very sweet tooth. I'm sure you must have noticed.
Yes, of course.
Oh, what is it? Are you all right?
I'm sorry. I hope you won't think I'm being rude, but I have a slight headache. I think I'll have an early night.
Elsie? Oh, in bed already?
Yes, I was feeling rather tired.
Oh, well, then I won't disturb you.
No, don't go, Sarah. Did the meeting go well?
Very. The bazaar's to be held on the 25th. I've promised them one or two things.
I should give them a sponge or a gâteau.
Oh, I probably will.
That new one of yours. walnut cream is very popular.
Yes, I'm rather proud of that one.
You know, Sarah, I've suddenly realized that Mrs. Everett had the very first one.
Did she? Oh, yes, you're right. I remember now, the day of the fire. Oh, I expect it must have gone up in smoke.
And if Mr. Everett drove up to London at 10:20, he couldn't have had any either.
Well, he's made up for it. He had several portions at tea yesterday.
Did he? But what I meant was...
Now, look, Elsie, you lie back and let me straighten your pillows.
Oh.
If you're feeling tired, this is no time to chat.
Your tea cake, Mr. Rayson.
Oh, you'll be the ruin of me, Elsie. Oh, here, you're looking a trifle pale this morning. Have you had a bad night?
I didn't sleep too well.
You ought to try a nightcap. Or maybe you need a tonic. Come across the shop and I'll fix you up.
No, I don't think it's anything to worry about.
Well, whatever else you take, don't let me see you with a prescription for sleeping tablets. Although I sell them, I don't approve of them. It's a bad habit to get into.
Well, I've never taken any.
Well, you shouldn't start. I squirm every time I see the word phenobarbital. It's almost a sign of the times.
Is it?
Confidentially. If you knew the number of people that take sleeping tablets, oh, you'd have a fit. In this village, too.
Really?
Mrs. Turner from the manor.
No.
Bert Parker at the pub. Mrs. Denton. Mr. Everett. Charlie Miller.
Mr. Everett, did you say?
Yes, I thought that would shake you. I filled in a prescription for him not a fortnight ago.
Mr. Everett? Oh, yes, he went out early.
Where to, did he say?
Oh, he's gone along to the cottage, I think.
What? Hillside Cottage?
I suspect so. Oh, fancy going back there. It gives me the creeps every time I walk by.
Look, Millie, I'm going out for a little while. If my sister wants me, tell her I'll be back within the hour.
Oh, it's you, Elsie. Oh, you did startle me for a moment.
I'm sorry, Mr. Everett.
What are you doing here?
Oh, just taking a stroll. I noticed the shed was slightly ajar, and I thought someone had broken in.
No, it's been under lock and key since the fire. I came by for a few tools.
What have you got there?
Hmm?
In your hand?
Oh, this tin, you mean. Just some sodium chlorate. Your path could do with some weeding. I thought I'd make myself useful. Also, one or two of your dahlias need staking. I've a whole pile of stakes going begging. Haven't used them since Nora switched to the herbaceous border. You don't mind my helping out in the garden?
No, I'm sure Sarah will be most grateful.
What about you? I was hoping to save you a few back-breaking jobs.
Thank you.
Elsie, I've a confession to make to you.
Oh?
It's odd. I don't normally find it easy to talk to people. Yet, with you, I never seem to have any difficulty. You know, I felt that from the first time I came into the tea room over a year ago.
You were saying something about a confession.
Yes. The trouble is where to begin.
Is it about your wife?
I can see one can't keep things hidden from you. The truth is, we didn't get on very well. During the last 6 months, it became almost unbearable. I won't go into all the reasons, but as most people around here know, she was an impossible woman. It was as much as I could do to sit in the same room with her. I escaped whenever I could. You know, your tea room was a haven to me. Oh, the fire was a shocking, dreadful thing to have happened. But if I'm going to be honest, I'm not unhappy.
Why are you telling me this?
Because well, with everyone offering their condolences, it's been a great strain having to keep up this pretense. I needed to tell someone. Who better than you?
I think ought to be getting back. It's almost lunchtime.
My car's parked down at the bottom of the lane. I'll give you a lift. Isn't the countryside beautiful this time of the year?
Yes. You were up early this morning, weren't you?
I've always been an early riser.
Didn't you sleep well?
On the contrary, never better.
Sarah came in rather late. I thought she may have disturbed you.
No, I'm a very heavy sleeper.
Have you always been like that?
Since I can remember. I'm one of those people who drop off the moment their head touches the pillow.
Could I have my bill, Elsie, please?
Coming, Mrs. Clark. Let's see, it was just the roast and a sweet, wasn't it?
Yes. Sorry to rush you. It's my busy day today. Pensions and postal orders.
Oh, well, that's 3 and 4pence.
Oh, well, there we are.
Thank you. Oh, you haven't by any chance seen Sergeant Foster, have you?
Oh, hasn't he been in?
Not yet.
Oh, probably over at the county court. I should think he'll be in later on. I can't see him missing the roast. Pass me my coat, there's a dear. Thanks. Oh, by the way, is that Mr. Everett still with you?
Yes.
You know, my husband and I offered to put him up, but you got in first. Though I don't doubt he's comfortable here, but not much trouble either, is he?
None at all.
Oh, awful things have happened when you come to think of it. Such a nice man and so considerate to her, although she was a bit of a so-and-so. I've never known a man worry so much about his wife's health and comfort as he did.
Really?
Oh, yes. You know, she was very susceptible to rheumatism, was Mrs. Everett. Nothing serious, but, well, he'd never take any chances with her. This'll take a lot of believing, but do you know, he used to ring me up at the post office daily to put him through to London for the weather report. Never missed a day throughout the summer, just in case there was rain. And wasn't that considerate?
Yes, very.
Oh, look at the time. I'll have a queue of customers at the counter, I'll bet. Oh, here's Sergeant Foster now.
Hello, Mrs. Clark.
I can't stop, just off. Bye.
Is the roast still on, Elsie?
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad you've come,
Well,
Sergeant.
a generous portion for a hungry copper, eh? Then maybe we'll talk shop. But go on at the double. I'm famished. Go on.
Finished with your plate, Sergeant.
Thanks, sir. Lovely bit of beef.
Glad you enjoyed it. Elsie's bringing the coffee.
I seem to be your last customer. Hope I'm not holding you up.
Oh, no. We won't start serving tea until about 3.
Coffee, Sergeant.
Oh, thanks, Elsie.
Oh, Elsie, while I remember, as it's half day tomorrow, I've promised to help with the bazaar. Will you be going out?
I don't think so. Why?
That new mixer should be arriving. I'd like someone here to take delivery.
Well, I'll be in.
Fine. Then I can let Millie off.
You're certainly kept busy round here, aren't you? I don't know how you find time to write.
Oh, I make a habit of writing so much each day, usually after we close.
Find a solution to your story yet?
Yes and no. You remember that lie you spoke about?
Huh?
Well, I had an idea about that. In my story, the wife purchases a cake on the day of the fire after the husband was supposed to have gone up to town. It was a new kind of cake, but the husband, at some later date, remarks on its flavor. Now, that would prove he was at the house at the time of the fire, wouldn't it?
Not bad, not bad. But it might be difficult to convince a jury.
But if one could prove he got a prescription for sleeping tablets, although he was a sound sleeper.
Possessing tablets doesn't mean he administered them.
But if one also has a witness to prove that he made daily inquiries about the weather on the pretense of his wife's rheumatism.
You'd still have to prove criminal intent. That merely sounds like the action of a considerate husband. No, you'd need something more definite than that. Now, I don't want to encroach on your territory.
Oh, please do, Sergeant.
I think some of the ideas are jolly good, eh? But you know where the weakness lies, don't you?
No.
Those curtains. You see, cottons vary, so no matter how hot it was, you could never be certain they'd catch a light.
Unless one experimented.
Still a bit risky. No, what is needed is some really inflammable material. Say a piece of loose-weave cellulose net.
Loose-weave cellulose net?
Oh, after all, it's pretty commonplace, and it was hung in front of the other curtains. You see, no one would give it a second glance, and it wouldn't leave any trace.
Yes, it's certainly an idea.
And then to be doubly sure, it would need impregnating with something highly inflammable. Not petrol or anything like that, but something odorless. Let me see. Something like sodium chlorate.
Sodium chlorate?
Yes, it's used in weed killers. But you can buy it neat without a prescription. I bet there's a tin in almost every other garden shed.
Yes.
I see, I've given you something to think about, so I'd better take my leave. Oh, just one other thing. What about the motive?
Motive?
Well, one doesn't generally commit murder without rhyme or reason. Is the husband hard up?
No. I imagined him to be quite well off.
Oh, well, then, if it isn't revenge or fear, that leaves you with the other woman.
The other woman?
Yeah, you know, the sort of thing. A sympathetic friend in the background. Someone he can escape to when the wife's got too much for him.
Would a man really commit murder for another woman?
You're joking. What better motive than the eternal triangle? Why, sometimes the other woman doesn't even know it's happening. The husband waits until the wife's dead and buried before he drops it in.
Really?
He's made you blush. I hope I haven't been too forward.
Oh, of course not, Sergeant.
Well, it's time I was moving. Hope the book goes well. But if it sells, I shall expect my 10%.
Elsie? Oh, why the coat? Going out or just coming in?
Won't be long, Sarah. I'm only going across to the drapers.
Oh, what for?
Nothing much. The sun bothers me when I'm at my typewriter. I thought I'd get a few yards of curtaining. Net.
Net? Oh, that's not terribly practical. Why don't you get a Venetian blind?
No, I'd rather have the net.
Yes, madam, can I help you?
Actually, all I need is some net.
Net? What kind of net?
Oh, loose weave, cellulose net. Do you stock such a thing?
Of course, madam. One moment. This what you had in mind, madam?
I'm not terribly sure. You see, I believe a friend of mine bought some here, and I'd rather like the same.
Oh, when did they purchase it?
Oh, within the last month.
What was the name?
Oh, Everett.
Everett? Oh, yes, that was a postal inquiry. I remember we supplied 6 yards loose weave cellulose net. The receipt is addressed to V. Everett.
V?
Yes, is that your friend?
What? On second thoughts, I don't think this is quite right for me. I'll leave it if you don't mind. I must let Sergeant Foster know right away.
Elsie, the laundry came. I put yours in your room. This is for Mr. Everett.
Oh, well, I'll put it in his room. Mr. Everett? Mr. Everett? A deed box. Open. Oh.
Elsie, what are you doing? That deed box was in the drawer when I left it. Who?
I suppose you've destroyed the receipt.
Receipt? What receipt?
Don't pretend you know very well. The receipt from Harrington's for the cellulose net. You've gone quite pale, Mr. Everett. It's always something of a shock to be found out, isn't it?
Found out?
Is that all you can say? Not that I want to listen.
No, please.
Kindly let me pass, Mr. Everett.
No.
I asked you to let me pass.
Elsie, please, I must talk to you.
I see no point.
Look, I can guess what you must be thinking. You imagine that
Imagine? Really? Do you deny that you lied to the police and the coroner about the time you drove up to London?
No.
Or that you obtained a prescription for sleeping tablets when you sleep perfectly well without them?
You obviously know, so how can I deny it?
Or that for weeks you inquired daily about the weather?
That is perfectly true.
And finally that you purchased 6 yards of loose cellulose weave netting and impregnated it with weed killer to make it more inflammable?
That I do deny.
But I saw you with the tin of sodium chlorate.
But I didn't purchase it.
Your name was on the receipt for the net.
No, I can explain.
Don't deny it. I saw it with my own eyes.
Look, I don't blame you for what you're thinking.
That's most kind of you.
If only you'd listen to me, just for a few moments. Look, I'll move away from the door. It's unlocked. You're free to leave whenever you like. But just a few minutes of your time is all I ask. Please.
All right.
You remember that I told you that Nora and I didn't get on well together?
Yes.
Well, that was something of an understatement. The marriage was a terrible mistake. I'd have left her, but frankly, I couldn't bear the thought of a divorce and a scandal. And if you asked why she stayed, I can tell you in one word. Money.
But I thought she was quite well off.
Believe me, when I married her, I wasn't concerned one way or another. But she deliberately lied to me about her income. The fact is, she hadn't a penny, and there was little doubt about why she married me. You were quite right. On the day of the fire, I was at the cottage for lunch.
Then why did you?
All in good time. After lunch, Nora went across to the hatch to pour out the coffee. There was a mirror facing the table, and I saw her drop some tablets into one of the cups. I imagined it was her saccharin. But as she turned, I realized that my cup was the one with the tablets.
She handed you the wrong cup?
So I thought. I suppose I should have said something, but it would have led to an argument. Nora was never one to admit to a mistake.
So what did you do?
Well, there was some dessert. She asked me if I would like some gâteau. The walnut cream. I said yes. While she was cutting it, I swapped cups. Imagine my surprise when I found there was saccharin in my cup after all. I thought I'd made a mistake, and I could have kicked myself. There wasn't time to swap them again, so I quickly dropped a couple of pieces of sugar into her cup.
She didn't notice?
No. She suggested we take our coffee into the lounge. It was rather close in there, I remember. I wanted to get off to my board meeting, but Nora insisted I rest for a few minutes. We both sat there without a word when she suddenly dropped off. I was very grateful and crept out and left for London. During the drive, I reached for my handkerchief and found a small tube in my pocket.
What tube?
Nora's sleeping tablets.
Mr. Rayton said he supplied them to you.
He did. Nora rowed with everyone, including the local GP. Phenobarbitones are on prescription, so I had to pretend they were for me. It was the same with the weather reports. She got a sudden mania about her health. If I didn't check, she wouldn't step out of the house.
But what were the tablets doing in your pocket?
Well, may you ask. I'd seen them on her dressing table earlier on. It was full. But now, 3 tablets were missing. I was bewildered, and then I remembered the coffee.
You mean she tried to drug you?
I didn't know what to think. Then after the board meeting, I received the message from Sergeant Foster. He didn't mention Nora, but during the drive back, I felt uneasy. It suddenly struck me that Nora may still have been in the cottage. Understand, I was confused. Supposing those tablets were meant for me. She drugged my coffee and planted the tablets in my pocket to make it look as though I'd taken them myself. And the fire wasn't just an accident. I realized that if traces of phenobarbitone were found in Nora's stomach, it might prove very embarrassing for me, to say the least. That is why I lied about the time. Everything was destroyed in the fire except the old deed box. Nora used to keep odd bits of correspondence in it. I didn't look through it until after the inquest. I knew about the sodium chlorate, but it wasn't until I found this that I was certain Nora had tried to murder me.
Murder you?
There's little doubt. Here.
What is it?
It's a brief note from Harrington's confirming her order for the cellulose net.
But the receipt was it was marked out to you, V. Everett.
Her name was Venora. I called her Nora for short.
Venora?
The letter and the envelope were addressed to her, as you can see. She sent cash, but perhaps Harrington still have her letter, and you could easily confirm that she bought the weed killer in the high street.
Why didn't you go to the police?
For what purpose would it serve? Another inquest, more questions, reporters. I had enough the last time. Besides, I'd have to admit about having lunch at the cottage. And after all, if I could lie about one thing, I could lie about the tablets, the weather reports, and even the order for the net. I'll make no bones about it. You were the reason for my stupid evasions and lies.
I was?
Somehow, when I heard you typing away, I felt as though I was one of the characters, and yet I so much wanted to be. Elsie, you know that, well, long before this ghastly thing happened, how do I have to put it into words?
No, but I will.
You mean that you even want to describe my feelings for you? I'm still to be a character in your thriller?
Of course not. When you look at me like that, I know that I've been spending hours and hours trying to create life with a typewriter and a sheet of paper. Oh, Victor.
You believe me, then?
Don't be silly. Of course I do. I know what you need, Victor Everett.
You do?
Let's go over to the shop and have a nice cup of tea.
Oh, bless you.
You have just heard The Weather for Murder, produced for Playhouse 90 by Michael Silver. In tonight's play, you heard John Hayter as Everett, Sheila Holliday as Elsie, Helen Braithwaite as Sarah, Pamela Murray as Millie, Roger Spence as Rayton, Gabriel Bayman as Foster, and Kerry Jordan as Jenkins. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's play. Be sure to tune in next week for another theater date with the great in Playhouse 90. So until next Wednesday's Playhouse 90, a very good night to you all.